Hey guys, I'm learning TFT and I'm sharing my learnings with you so that you can learn and I can learn better as well. In this video, I'm going to share with you a coaching session with Marcel that I did yesterday in preparation for the sub-regionals tournament before Tacticians Trials next weekend. I got a bye to go straight to day two, and I finished 43rd out of, I forget how many people played today, 168. So I'll be making it to day three. The cutoff was 64. And a lot of my game plan for this tournament was guided by both the coaching session that I published yesterday with Joseph, as well as this coaching session with Marcel. And so we went through a bunch of questions I had about a number of comps, went through a tier list of comps, unit holds, and yeah, just a bunch of questions. And we also did a really deep dive into Slayers, which I had a really good game on in this tournament as well. So if you want to jump straight to the coaching session with Marcel, take a look at the timestamp in the descriptions below. Before we get there, I'm going to first do a meta mindset of the day, zoom out. This one's going to be a little bit, I don't know, different because I'm after the tournament, like the last week or a few days, I've been just really focused on preparing for this tournament and doing well, especially after what happened in Paris and just some of the sour taste in my mouth. I wanted to really, just perform well. And a lot of the kind of just me talking out loud in my post Paris video has been really helpful for me. And I have been diving into this in therapy, just journaling about it. And all of that has been super helpful, meditating. But what is on my mind right now is after the tournament, actually, while I was getting dinner with my family, my wife showed me what was happening in Minnesota with ice. And fortunately, I don't even know the guy's name, but uh, basically a bunch of immigration enforcement folks like lost their shit on a guy that was trying to protect a woman who was being basically harassed and like I don't know, just shit was going crazy. And then they put 5 bullets in him and he was unarmed. Um, and this like kind of touches on some stuff that I've talked about in the past, but it it just feels really disturbing to me, and it really puts things into perspective that like I'm playing a game here, and there's like some real shit happening in the world, and I don't really know what to do about it or what to really say about it. And I have this platform, and I know I'm just playing a game, but it seems like people find some type of solace in these videos that I'm putting together when I connect them to life. So I figured I'd try to do my best to do that. And I do think that there's some shit that's about to hit the fan. I don't know if it's happening, within the next few months or years or decade, but I think something's gonna happen because what's happening with our society is not sustainable. And I'm referring to like kind of AI and how people are losing their jobs, and our social fabric and political systems are not working. And the way that we emotionally react to that is like our emotional OS is not built to handle this stuff. And when people play zero sum games in the real world, what happens is violence and war. And if there's a role I can play in this, it's to hope that I can bring some positivity into the TFT community, and maybe that can spread in some way, whatever that means. But I see this in TFT too. It's like, especially between different cultures and different groups of people, when there is blame and frustration and anger, whether that's because a patch feels bad, or if someone's flaming more dog or riot, or blaming someone else for contesting you, or just calling someone stupid, right? Like it is these moments of lack of self-awareness and lack of control and inability to notice the pain that you feel and to figure out how to transform our pain and suffering into a positive energy that can help the world, as opposed to discharging our pain and suffering into the world in a way that harms other people and ourselves. Because that's what I saw happen today in Minnesota. And I want to talk about that a little bit, zoom out, both in terms of how it can affect our lives when we feel like whatever's happening in our lives is going crazy. I think something like this happening in the world is useful to put in context that, like, hey, we are living on a pale blue dot. Like, yes, it feels like everything is the world revolves around us, me in this moment, but at the same time, it's so much bigger. Daniel Goleman said, when we focus on ourselves, our world contracts as our problems and preoccupations loom large. But when we focus on others, our world expands. Our own problems drift to the periphery of the mind and so seem smaller. So I think that's definitely true when, like I was playing in the tournament today and I definitely made a bunch of mistakes. But kind of learning about what happened in Minnesota definitely helped me like kind of zoom out and not take things so seriously, which I think overall, like purely for me to perform well tomorrow is probably a good thing. But I think just in general, it's useful to zoom away from ourselves because most of the problems we face are actually not that big of a deal. Bertrand Russell said, a great many worries can be diminished by realizing the unimportance of the matter which is causing the anxiety. A big part of being able to zoom out, and I think this is one of the big reasons I like going to the beach and the ocean, is to just see the horizon with the water, uh, or like going to the Grand Canyon or some mountaintop and seeing how far distant off into the distance you can see. It is different from an intellectual understanding that things aren't that important, but it's a very visceral emotional reaction. Biddu Krishnamurti, Indian philosopher, said, it is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. I think one of the sicknesses that faces our society is this obsession with money and status and a feeling of winning and not being a loser, and like this whole make America great thing, make America great again, or frankly even just when our LP plummets and like we take that so personally. Like, I mean, at the core of it, I think that's just what happened to these guys in Minnesota. That, like, I mean, they're in positions of authority, they're law enforcement agents, but like they just lost their shit. They just were bullies. And like they killed a guy. It's like no different than like boys on a playground bullying a little kid. And this guy was actually trying to protect a woman who was being abused. Like this guy stood up for someone else, and then the bullies instead decided to take it out on him. And like that is in many ways what has happened through human society and through human history. Like people seize power and they abuse it. Power corrupts. And a lot of our social systems are built upon this idea of money, status, power. And the thing is, as AI automates most things and eliminates the need for human labor over time, I don't know. I don't know how this is all gonna go, but something about our underlying value system. Nelson Mandela said, "Sport has the power to change the world. It has the power to unite the world in a way that little else does." So I'm trying to like find some silver lining here that like at least for me, like with TFT and what I experienced in Paris and the connection that I felt across so many people is like figuring out a way that I can make some imprint with all of you and trying to add some type of positivity in the world, even though I don't always know what that looks like or how to even make that change. Um, similar to like when you feel lost in a patch and you're like not sure what to do. I do think that to some extent, one of the most important things to do in these types of situations is to have faith and to have some type of optimism that that light can light up the darkness, or what Martin Luther King. It's interesting that was it MLK Day that just passed, but that he said that it is not hate that will conquer hate, it is love. And so it's how to bring a sense of optimism, faith, and love into the world when sometimes it just feels really dark. And I think being able to zoom out and see the bigger picture and also not just see the darkness, not just see the shit hitting the fan, but it's also that there are people, like there are mass protests in Minnesota right now. It's like seeing people on social media rise up and being standing up for what is right and what is light. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm just a dude that's talking talking to a screen and making some YouTube videos, playing some games, sharing some philosophical and psychological ideas. Doesn't feel like I'm actually changing the world in a way, but whatever little that we can do to put positivity out in the world, that's what I'm trying to do, and hopefully you can do the same, and hopefully that is the seed of what we need to make some larger change in the world, because what's happening right now I think is only going to get worse. And again, I'm not exactly sure what to do about it, but hopefully I can keep on putting out these types of videos and spread more positivity and just be like kind of real and honest and vulnerable, and maybe that can spread in some. um so yeah, that's the meta mindset of the day. Zoom out. Love to hear your thoughts on this. um and yeah, hope you enjoyed this coaching session with Marcel as well. We dive into a lot of really good stuff that I hope is helpful for you as well. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, good man. I got to play a good number of games yesterday, and I've been watching a fair bit as well. So
Nice.
hopefully I'll have good insight. How are you doing? When is the tournament? You have sub regionals this weekend, right?
Yeah. Got by for today's day one, so tomorrow's gonna be my first games.
Okay.
And then trials
You have
next week on the same patch.
cool. Yeah. I mean, I'm motivated for this patch because I have the tournament next week. So
Okay. Nice.
I'm hoping that there's not going to be a big B patch. I mean, we'll see. At the moment, it's hard to tell. I feel like if they'll make drastic changes, ASOL being the sort of hard to gauge. It seems broken, but the stats don't reflect it. So we'll see.
Yep. Broseph was saying that he expects the ASOL stats to get a lot better after the Kindred stats kind of diminish.
Yeah, I think Kindred does seem strong, but it's just harder to get to because ASOL you get on stage 3, whereas Kindred you get like low odds on 8 or 9, which is hard to get to.
Yep. Yep. So yeah, I figure we can do some meta breakdown, and then I have like a bunch of questions. And
Okay,
then depending on if we have time, want to do some stage one training, and then I doubt we'll have time for doing some puzzles, but if we have a little extra time, we do.
sounds good.
So I was talking with Broseph about like kind of strategy for tournaments where you are favored, because sub regionals will have a lot of lower elo players. And so
Yeah.
his suggestion was like focusing on lines that have more decision points at where I can leverage kind of fundamental advantages over the course of mini decisions, as opposed to just having variance kind of decide for you. Um, so these were kind of the lines that he pointed out as like ideal core kind of foundational comps that can farm top fours, not necessarily play for first, but
Yeah.
just like solid lines where I lower my variance, and specifically I'm minimizing the amount of bot fours that I'm getting. Um,
Yeah.
I'm curious what your thoughts on this are, and if there's anything you would adjust. And then like high econ ace all force falls into like kind of the less decision points category.
Less decision points versus. I guess so. What's the difference between these two? Are that there are slightly more decision making options in the top four? Is that your is that the distinguishing thing here between the less decision point section and this top one?
Yeah, I guess maybe what should be more relevant is just what has higher odds of top four than necessary. I think he was specifically calling out that if you just put yourself in a position where you have more decision points, then that would maybe be more relevant than just looking at AVP, for example. Um,
Um,
yeah, what's your take on
uh,
all that?
yeah, I guess I'm not fully sure how putting yourself in a spot to make more decisions necessarily is like a better strategy when you're playing against. I have to sit and think through that more thoroughly, but I feel like off the top of my head, I feel like I don't see why that would be a better strategy when playing against weaker opponents. I understand the idea that like you want to rely less on variance, but it's hard to know necessarily what your gap exactly is over your opponents, right? It could be that your gap is that you choose the better simple line on average, and if that is your gap, I feel like then the strength you actually should lead on is just choosing this better simple line, as opposed to like if your strength is not necessarily making better decisions, more complex decisions, which it's hard to know what anyone's strength is over opponents in general, then it doesn't mean that you should lean towards complex lines. I feel like I wouldn't have that mindset personally off the top of
Mm-hmm.
my head if I was playing against weaker opponents. Oh, let me put myself in like more complex lines. If anything, I would just place like towards what I would think is just highest AVP in general. But I think I would probably be more down to play um slightly more win out lines. I guess would probably be my slight difference if I thought my opponents were bad necessarily. If that makes
Gotcha.
sense.
So I think Brosev's mindset on this is that because there are some players in sub regionals that are there's going to probably be like some masters or diamond level players. So his
Yeah.
thought process is that on average, I can be making significantly stronger boards. And like there could be lines that are just weak at high elo, but that you could even win streak with a weak board in stage two.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so picking lines that allow you to, or even like let's say augments, like something like trade sector would be stronger against lower elo players, because if I just happen to have a pair or multiple pairs that I can roll for to make a stronger board, like that could allow me to win streak in stage two in situations that I wouldn't be able to do it at higher elo. Like so that's maybe an example of what he's talking about. And so then
Yeah.
lines that facilitate more opportunities to, I guess, roll, or I don't know exactly like how he interpreted these, but like
Yeah.
yeah.
I I would sort of I agree for sure that like things like trade sector can potentially allow you to. I guess I would just try to manifest that in my game plan as I would expect earlier boards to be slightly weaker, and so like concretely when I do a scout, like I guess I think it's most useful. Obviously it's most useful, I guess, to think more concretely in my mind with games specifically, and like you scout on 2-1, and you think you see the lobby strength, and on average, let's say you assume lobby strength is on some scale of 1 to 10, and you scout and you see it's like a 7 in whatever particular lobby you're in, and you know they're bad players. Let's just say for whatever metric you have that's bad, you would just move that down by like 1 or 2 points, and then at that point you just play everything else normally, but your lobby strength assumption is lowered, and then from there, the lower you assume the lobby strength is on average, the more value you get out of playing like higher cap lines, if that makes sense. So
Mm,
and so I agree that trade sector would be a good thing, but I guess it would be like maybe a good example would be a really tempo take like called shot, right? Or um I guess the augment that gives you a component every 5 wins, things like these. Like
mm,
in a strong lobby, you scout, this lobby looks fairly strong. You're kind of hesitant, right? But maybe in a weaker lobby of master players, you scout, the lobby looks like fairly normal, like not super strong. You take it, right? And then maybe your lobby with like Wasian and Dish Open Setsuko, and they all play tempo. You scout, the lobby looks kind of mid, but you're kind of scared, right? And I think that this is like where it would manifest, and I think it'd be more concrete. Like if I had a lobby with Dish Up, Wasian, and Setsuko, and they all took calc loss, I don't care, right? Like I'm
mm,
taking a win out line that plays from win streak, if that makes sense.
right.
So I think thinking very concretely still is like king, because I think it's easy to sort of trick yourself where like, oh, I'll take like I guess I would want to avoid scenarios where like you think you can have some game plan around playing complex, and then you lose, and then 2-1 is like a prismatic, and then you have no opener, and then it's like, well, the theoretical ideas of playing in a big lobby really fall to the wayside immediately.
Mm,
Um, yeah, that makes sense.
okay, yeah. Um, okay, then maybe a different way of framing this is what lines, given that your framework would be different from Rosiv's, I think a framework that fits in for you would be what lines maximize AVP but lower variance, and so then willing to sacrifice some AVP for uh, lower variance, which typically would mean that I am optimizing slightly more for reasonable AVP but lower win rate. Although I guess you're also saying you would play for higher cap, which
I guess I think, yeah, play more concretely instead of, yeah. I guess I would try to reflect the lobby gap in terms of a scout early on, and like I would just expect like every stage my expectation of the board strength would be slightly weaker, and that would affect my decisions on what line to play um accordingly. It would, yeah. I guess I wouldn't. I guess having the lines in mind is helpful, but yeah, I guess I would think stage two lobby strength is going to be around this level, and then stage three, stage four, and then based on your current board, you sort of have a path to go from there. Because I think I wouldn't, for example, shy away from playing full open in a in a weak lobby. If I thought that was my spot, I would still play that way. If that makes sense. Like I
okay,
don't think I tend to value concrete spots more than the idea. I just reflect lobby gap in terms of like slight point differentials in terms of how I um evaluate my spot, I guess.
okay, makes sense. So this is what I kind of came up with at a high level. Anything that like kind of jumps out at you as being very off?
Um, are you ordering these from left to right in terms of
Not
strength as
really.
well, or
So it'd be helpful
I
to get your thoughts on left to right.
yeah. I've been having more success with Lysandra than people are seeing because
Mhm.
of the buffs to Braum and because of the buffs to Braum and Sedge and Oriana unlock. Oriana is core in my
Mhm.
my Lysandra games on 8. And then um
So you have
there's
a
a
specific line you're angling, or sorry,
yeah,
specific 8 units that you are angling with that.
yeah. Yeah, it requires a volley unlock to play this exact one, but the one, yeah, it's just Ori, Loris, and Kabuko, and then you have volley. And I found this board to be, especially with extra resources or like more items, very strong. It's
Or no,
um,
5 failure.
it's yeah, 5 failure.
Nivea.
Yeah, with Rom and Sedge being really good, the front line now here feels really strong, and then um, if you have Blast Shield, especially, like the front line feels impossible to get through, and then your damage is good with Liss Volley on stage 4. We even play this line from behind, and it feels strong with extra resources, like a small HL cash out. Um, usually though, you should be trying to play this line from ahead. This is what I try to play into now from, like, if I have to roll an 8 and I'm playing like off of Zion, Scion gets you your volley unlocked, right? Like a Scion LeBlanc, or um I do Oriana unlock now, and I think it's reasonably good. I think it's like your front line is better than with Loris Orb than Scion, but your back line is slightly worse than LeBlanc. But then you have the benefit of Piltover, which can be broken.
Okay, what Piltovers are you prioing here? It's Blast Shield and then Cogs.
Yeah, Blast Shield and Cog. I will say I think beyond these two, if you don't have them, this feels quite a bit worse.
Okay.
The other thing I've been doing without volley unlock, let's say you just don't have the items for it, but you have the opener, like you have Oriana AP items, and then Loris Orb or like Vi with like Nico or whatever, and you're reasonably strong, so you want to stay in AP, you make AP slams. Is this one has been doing well for me so far in PvE lobbies, and it did fine in a couple ladder games as well. Did pretty well for like farming top 3, top 2. Is 4 Piltover. You play this board, and you play Oriana, Seraphine, Vi, Loris. You drop volley, you drop Anivia, and then you have an extra slot. You drop Kubuko.
I see. So if you get like an Azir or Taric.
Azir, Taric, Nautilus is like fine. Like Braum. Sorry, with the legendary Warden, like what's it, Ornn, if you can print an extra item. There's an item hungry comp, and but your backline is actually really, really good. And this is like cheap, and you should only be thinking into this variant from ahead. This variant I think is definitely weaker on 8 because you don't have the volley unlock. This is the one that you can also unlock T-Hex on, but that one's more experimental, and that's still like that one. But that was doing well in some PB lobbies. But this one is like a you have really good front line, like a defender, a 2-star defender, and like a Vi, and then a good AP item or frontline item and AP. Then you unlock the Oriana, you play off that, or a Loris Orb and a Warden, and then you have like a 2-star Invoker. You unlock Oriana, and then you play into this.
Okay, and then
Well,
there's
you
also...
you try to play into I think the list volley, and then you don't find you don't find an easy path to a volley. Then this is where you settle, especially if you find like early Seraphine or something like that.
Okay. There's also a hybrid version, which you could just do this plus volley, right? I guess you're
I think
short
if
of
we're gonna
volley.
play on volley, I think the Freljord one is better because so the way the Freljord one extends is you go 9 and you go Zillion as your duo. So on the Freljord 5 Freljord board, you drop Oriana and you add Vi. You add Vi Zillion.
Okay.
Yeah, when you go 9, you go Vi Zillion, and this board wins. I even beat a board. I beat an Asol too, I think, with this board.
Okay.
No, sorry. The board I had was a Vagar variant. There's also a Vagar variant of these boards. I think these boards can be very flexible, but
That's with
yeah.
Nico.
Nico is the default. I think I had Swain. But yeah, the default one is Nico and Vagar. Yeah, 2 Invoker, Nico, Vagar. Yeah. This one has volley in it. I think I had volley in my game, but I think having the Kubuko is nice for some attack speed on Vagar, which you don't typically have if you're making like you play into Vagar from like the rods, right? The rod augment. So here, if you don't have volley, this can be
Either a Piltover or a Bruiser.
yeah. I was playing off of Swain and Shyvana, but I think this board is super flexible. There's logic in the off this, but I do think that Vagar is really high prio because there's less backline access now. His weakness felt like it was Fizz and Bilgewater last patch because he just kind of would die. But now I think if you have Rod Augment, like the not the I think the prismatic one early is more of an obvious take if you have tempo, but the other ones like Replication Rod or Wand Overflow I think are easy takes, especially because these lines use a lot of items now.
Okay, so if you're playing this line and you happen to stumble into one of those rod augments, then you like playing into big.
Yeah, I don't hesitate with one overflow into Veigar or just slot in Veigar now. It also goes to a point that Dasik was saying about the patch, which I tend to agree with, which is that it's sort of a patch where you play on level 8 more, so you're stuck on 8 a lot longer.
Yeah,
and it feels like having a lot of items helps in that you the more like the more quality units you fit on 8, because you're stuck on 8 rolling anyway, so you can find like other stuff, or you can slot in more 4 costs, for example, to upgrade your board, because you're not going 9 for 5 costs. Items tend to help quite a bit more, if that makes sense.
yeah. So let's say you have all of these tanks, like because you could literally play pretty much all the 4-cost tanks. Who are you itemizing? Or I meant Tarek here.
It's felt like Braum when you have. I think Tarek is the worst now out of all the main tanks because of his the change to his ability. He's not horrible to have on the board though in AP lobbies. I think Braum and Wukong. I think Braum has been feeling the best, but I'm not 100% sure.
Like in this order.
I think Swain is okay. Swain, I would say you try to slot almost always. Maybe in this Lissandra board, it's a little harder, but like as a default. But I tend to assume if you look at the play rates, I tend to assume that on average you will just never 2-star Swain. Like if it falls in your lap, then great.
Or I guess I mean, who are you gonna itemize if you hit all of them 2-star?
Oh yeah. It's never Swain. It's always Braum. It can be Swain if he's 2-starred. I will itemize Swain 2-star, but yeah, I think it's Braum over Wukong over Swain. I don't know about Swain and Tarek. I think Tarek's over Swain in my mind. I'm not sure though.
Let's just say about equal.
The other thing I like about Braum is that Loris is really good. Loris is probably the best secondary tank out of all the secondary tanks. Especially if you aggro juggle, where like Braum is on the outside, Loris doesn't take aggro, and then Loris casts, and then he takes aggro. And then it just really abuses that interaction, and then Braum gets extra cast out of that.
Okay. All right, going back to here. Do you like it, Lissandra, the most then out of these 4-cost comps?
I wouldn't say that. I would say it's like, yeah, just
how would you sort the 4
just another 8-tier line. I would say it's like another 8-tier line. Maybe on one of the lower ones. And then is this Ishtal reroll? The I'm a little lower on this unless you have exactly Pris ticket
too much value.
Yeah, or on a roll. Yeah.
I'm basically assuming those.
And I assume you've already like tried optimizing your honor roll like gameplay, like sacking stage 2, like play just all pairs and stuff.
Yeah.
Or yeah, okay. Because I actually had made that mistake myself with honor roll.
Bard thing, I like if your shop's just full of pairs. So I forget what the conclusion was. I think you had asked that. Like, do you just sell?
My plan, I had thought through it, and I think my plan is to if you to put the Bard in, and then if you have an extra pair to put in, and your whole bench is paired, then I'm down to sell the Bard. So you get the Bard in if he's free, right on. Or generally you'll go for Bard because you're rolling for your other pairs anyway.
Yeah.
And collect more pairs. But then when you run out of space, I think if you plan to be strong stage 3 anyway, like 3-1 or 3-2, then the value of the Bard is not that high, right? It's to give you the one extra roll, I guess, on the next round would be the value. I had to do the math on having exactly like, let's say you had like 7 pairs, and then what are the odds of hitting the pair if you had 0 rolls? I would just roll personally. I think if I had like that many pairs and just not play the Bard and have more pairs. Yeah.
Rest of this A looks reasonable. Anything you would modify or add to A?
I still think Sona. I think Sona's like similar to the Ishtal reroll in that it's like, okay, it's not as high a cap, but like I feel like with the augments that enable it, specifically on a roll, I guess it's just on a roll. I think with on a roll, this line is so broken still.
Okay.
So, yeah, you just load in with everything instantly. I think Slayers is A for sure. Viego could be A. I haven't had the chance to play it as much as I'd like. This one could be a
This
yeah. I think
are you
high
referring
B.
to
High B.
Viego Hero or to like
Oh,
just
sorry,
the
I meant Shadow Wilds. I meant Shadow
General's
Wilds.
line?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so you like that line.
Could be. It's like high B, low A, I guess. Yeah, I'm not sure. Not 100% sure.
Okay, I haven't gotten
Um,
that many reps on it, so I'm just gonna put it here.
yeah. I think this line. Okay, this is a line, for example, that I am more aligned with what Brosef's thought is. So lines that tend to be strong stage 2 and fall off stage 3. These lines are really good in lower in weaker lobbies because you don't fall off.
Okay.
Is what happens.
Okay, so then all right, I'll put that here.
Yeah, I think in
Bros
Paris I played a game of this and like with that exact mindset and it kind of worked out in my first round.
Brosev was saying that, and I think this was in the Discord too, that he's more willing, especially on the logic that you just described, more willing to slam was it Rageblade Titan or QSS, the good items on that would potentially go into that Belveth line that we saw in the Scrim game.
Yeah,
Ballista slash Belveth slash Ambessa.
I think that's correct. Yeah, I haven't had the spot for that, but I think assuming you have melee items, yeah, you can just make them with Viego and then you can play into Slayers around Viego. And you have the option to play around. I think one thing is if you're doing this, just make sure you don't fall into the trap of like now you have to play Shadow Ball units. If you don't find Callista items, like you can play Callista for a bit on stage 3, but like at the point that you are in stage 4 and you have 0 Callista items and you're all melee, you just don't play the Callista.
Yeah.
And then at that point, you can choose to play the Warden variant frontline. I haven't played around it that much, but at that point, you can choose to keep Yorick, right? But not Callista. It just depends on what frontline you have. Assuming I still think Swain is the best variant if you're playing around QSS Kraken, but I think I believe in basic sort of variant of if you are streaking more so early game or your items happen to give you Titan Rageblade type setup, then 3-item Braum is better because he's an actual tank. But the more you are like QSS, so like QSS is more like upfront, right? Like you're strong in the first 10 seconds and you ramp a little slower or you ramp less. I think Swain Vow is the best setup. You just burst things down. And then augments that enable that are just like all damage, like Jeweled Lotus, Tiny but Deadly, things like these are. I think Tiny but Deadly is one of the weaker augments in the stats, in the Setsuko augment stats, but Setsuko VOD stats is called, but I think it's still in line with like Precision and Grace, just things that give you upfront damage are good with the upfront damage setup, and then scaling stuff, maybe like Soul Awakening can be good in the Braum 3 tank item setup. And you can play the Viego line into either of those.
Okay, so just to make sure I'm following you, the Rageblade Titans where you want to scale longer, the idea with Swain is that you are just getting the single cast stun, and you're basically hoping that after that stun, you've already run over their team. Whereas
Yeah.
The kind of more upfront wait. Do I have this backwards?
That is part of the upfront. That is part of the upfront. Yeah. When you have Rageblade Titan, you're more like 3-item, like real tank items on Braum.
Yeah.
And then
okay, so these are more of the scaling augments across light, and then these should be.
You wouldn't take Ascension. I think Ascension's like really backloaded, but like Rageblade, like Mess Hall, for example, would fit into the second one. Whereas the first one is more Jewel Lotus, Precision and Grace. That being said, if you don't get offered other combat augments, you could take the burst ones in the scaling setup, and you could consider Mess Hall in the first setup. They're not ideal, but they're still like takeable. It doesn't mean they're not takeable. But I'm just describing like the best setups you could have.
Okay, that makes sense.
I think either way, if you're offered a Priz, what is it called? Bronze for Life, you would probably just try to play the. I haven't thought too much about the Priz Bronze for Life if your setup is more scaling, as opposed to the regular Swain setup. Because the thing is, the BFL value really ties into playing like the exact Bilge Water sort of board, and I've just been playing that, and that board feels so broken when you have Praise Bronze for life. That it's probably still very good even if you don't have like the exact item setup that you want. Yeah, this became more of a Slayer overview, but hopefully that's fine.
Yeah, that's helpful. Okay.
I think Slayer is one of the highest. If you see this line's uncontested or even one weight, I think this is one of the best lines to play. Like in general, right now, I think people are bored of this line or like not valuing this line enough. You just it's free at like every stage. There's a game plan for every stage, which is what's nice. Like you can roll for Ishtal, you can roll for like build just to farm some econ. You can be strong stage 2 or 3 or 4. You can be weak in 2 or 3, and it's like not the end of the world. You have a GP3 out. You have a 3-star forecast out. You can go 9, and now like the Shyvana is quite a bit stronger. I think Aatrox is kind of shit though, but it's kind of sad. But yeah, I think okay, if you're truly playing for a win, the only way I would consider this if you're really playing for a win is Priz Party. I think it's one of the best lines in Priz Party. Which you might think is counterintuitive, but it's because you get access to BFL like almost guaranteed. Especially if you hit indecision, you're just guaranteed. Like, do not ever sell Kog'Maw. I made this mistake before where I've sold Kog'Maw for 1 econ. It was like a 39 gold. I sold Kog'Maw when I took I haven't done the math on it, but like I'm pretty sure when you have indecision in Priz Party, you're just guaranteed to find every augment you want. And you hit something like BFL tiny but deadly, you just run over everything.
BFL.
Even like I think I beat a strong Asol 2 board. And like a bunch of really strong boards. Like you like the fight starts, the fight ends. You all your units just do so much damage. You need items. I guess my setup was pretty disgusting, but like in Priz Party, like the ideal setup, which is what I had, is like bury treasures, indecision into BFL into tiny but deadly, and then your damage is just insane.
Or 2, 4, 6 this board, right?
Yeah. The theory, if you're truly in on but I don't think this is the cap, but if you're truly all in on BFL, let's say you have 0 items for anything else but just these units, the true, okay, maybe not true, but the true BFL max cap is Caitlyn Loris, which is kind of funny if you go 10. Caitlyn Loris gives you 3 more bronze trades.
Oh my god.
But like, assuming you have no items for legendaries, I think it actually is the cap. And let's say you don't have a spot to go for Bel'Veth 3 and Bessa 3. And if it gives you like Blast Shield, it's actually good value, right? Build over Longshot Warden.
So your ideal trio of augments, like BIS augments, would be BFL, Time Bit Deadly, and what would be the last augment?
It's the first augment, right? The first augment, you're typically taking whatever works for your spot. So like here, it would be potentially like it would just be value prismatics that you take on 2/1. So but unexpectedness, right, could be very good for this line. Bury treasures for like a slow opener. I'm trying to think what other prismatics.
So you're trying to go triple combat, basically.
If you're not gonna, that's it. That's the best. But the thing is, people don't really consider this line that much. But I think the thing is, you get to fish for your. Comeback story could be good. I think you will lack items unless you take items from another augment, Sword Overflow, or things like these, which can be good in this line as well. Trade Tree could be good in this line. I think with Trade Tree, the issue is that if you plan on BFL and Priz Party, then I would still take Trade Tree on 2/1 in some spots. Maybe in lower elo, I would. In worse lobbies, that would be something I would maybe slightly lean away from, because now it gives less gold, right, up front. And if you hit like Bilgewater with no Bilgewater units, Ionia with bad Ionia, it starts to become really dicey.
Mm-hmm. Okay, expected and unexpected is on average you're expecting like 1.5 items or something, 2 items.
I can give you items, give you econ. Like you want to start off the game with some econ. Like I think if you take Bury Treasures, you're sort of all inning on like, okay, you don't really need that much econ. You'll just be strong, guaranteed stage. You're playing out a stage 3 spike, right? So like Bury Treasures is like you soft spike stage 3 because you have way more items than everyone, and you try to hope that Kiana.
You have a Kiana too already, and
yeah, I think Kiana pair I'm still down. Like I still think that's a good augment from Kiana pair. Especially because the line uses tons of items, right? Like the setup, it's especially when the setup is the upfront damage setup, because you go Vow Swain, Even Shroud, Sunfire, something like that, and then it's like not super tanky, but like he'll cast once, and then you have 3 item GP, 3 item. I mean, first it's 3 item Bel'Veth, and then 3 item Ambessa, and then 3 item GP3 eventually. Like you just always keep holding extra GPs, and you just hit it like whenever you hit it. If you had Rhythm Nautilus 3, like he's also a beast. He can also really be tanky in that line if you get to Nautilus 3. So you can use tons of items.
Yeah.
That's why I think this line is also good with Ishtal cash out if you're weak on stage 3. Because you can basically not take item augments and end up in a spot where it looks like you took an item augment. And then your cog mat just multiplies really hard.
What are you usually targeting in terms of cash outs with this line in HL?
Oh, I think everything's good here. So if you get 200, you get extra gold is fine. Dupes are good. TG is very good. Item is good. 200 onwards. But honestly, you just take like with each level mid game, you just take whatever your quests allow you to take because you can't be too picky. You're just taking like whatever makes sense for your spot. Like if you would sack too much, because like this is still not often a win out line. You can lose if you don't have like the god setup, so higher cap boards, and so you're just if you're playing each level cash out, you're just playing to be strongest stage 4, right? And you don't need all that much to be strongest stage 4. If you're playing from like from behind because you have to. And let's say you're like paired Kiana, pair Briar, pair whatever on like 3-2, you're weak, and you're 2 out of 3, you're still, I would just roll like once or twice, right? Maybe you find Bilge, then you stop rolling. Maybe you find one of the 2 stars, you stop rolling. Maybe you find Ishtal and you stop rolling. And then from there, you just take whatever cash out you can get. Sometimes it might just be a 150 and you just take that, and that it's just ways to get yourself to get into the game stage 4. But I think all of these are good. 200 is good. 250 can give you Vank emblem on Bel'Veth. On Pan. It gives you a forger, so you're guaranteed Pan. Everything here is good. 300 is artifact. Their Bel'Veth artifacts can be really good. Item 3-4 cost is. I think if you have econ, the 3-4 cost one is like the just pure econ ones are probably the worst, but they're like that. That's still welcome. Like you're not like super unhappy that you got resources in terms of gold.
Right.
350 if you get dupe, you can maybe chase 3-star if you're uncontested. The TG one is busted in Vanks. Yeah.
So normal.
I guess I will say if you know you're playing Ishtal into this line, you can try potentially to. It's a very like mild gamble of taking more combat than item augments because you assume you get your items from your cash out. You could miss and not get items from it, but like that you could gamble and like triple just no item augments and then you get your items from Ishtal.
Okay. So on average, if you are going to play Ishtal, ideally you are win streaking stage 2. Your power curve falls off in stage 3, and that's when you throw in Ishtal or Bilge or whatever to get some extra econ in stage 3, and then you spike in stage 4 when you hit your board.
I think that's the ideal setup, but there are still spots where like let's say stage 2 is just so unplayable and that your units are bad and your lobby is too strong. I would still play Ishtal on stage 3. Like at that point, you're behind, right? And like generally, 10 loss is not good. I mean, and let's say your game plan is to play into Slayer just because your items work out that way, or like there's no feasible line for you to play from like spiking stage 3, or like it's just too far and Ishtal is free. Let's say you just find Milio. I would still play Ishtal from behind on stage 3 and take whatever cash that gives you and play from like 2 lives. I still think that that's like not it's like a higher EV line than most lines in that spot. Like rolling on 6 or 7. 7 you can roll like for GP potentially. You could play for like a 3-5 roll down. But insofar that you find Ishtal on 3-1 for free, even if you're from 5 loss stage 2, you could still 3-5 it. Like I would say like Ishtal is just something you can always throw in and then get out of really quickly. You can get 100 and 80 cash. Like there's no reason not to.
Right. Makes sense.
You also make sure you're considering, which you're probably aware of, like that you can cheese the buy XP ones. Like you don't even have to play Ishtal on your board. You just keep it on bench.
Right.
And
You just
put
have
it in
to
when you
throw it in when you press F, right?
Yeah, and then if you don't want to ever play Ishtal stage 3, if you assume that the econ you lose from holding the units is low, especially because Kiana is on your board, you're just holding 2 units, then you just cash it out on neutrals, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Back to here.
One last thing with Ishtal is that don't shy away from alternating. I think alternating, especially when you're playing opportunistic Ishtal. When you're playing Ishtal from the augment, alternating is scary as hell because you have no. Your downside is that you have no augment. If you play alternating and then you can try to get away with it, it looks like your board is like middling strength. I would just click it, especially if your other quests are super mid, and then if you cash it out, great. If not, then you're just out of Ishtal and you're just a little sad, but it's not the end of the world. I think this one is like really, really good value.
Okay. I heard from someone else too that you can, especially if you're strong, you could just take out uh, Ishtal and then win without Ishtal and then put it back in.
I haven't done that one. Wait, what was the
Like
it?
because it's supposed to be alternating win loss, right? But with Ishtal, you're
Yeah.
just generally going to be weaker. You can just do the win without Ishtal in, and then lose again with Ishtal back in. And it takes longer to complete the quest, but like that's a higher odds way of actually cashing it out.
Oh wait, so if you go lose with Ishtal in and then win without and then lose with Ishtal again, that would count as a
Yeah.
increment to your. Oh, I see. Interesting. Okay, it
Yeah,
would take
someone
longer,
in
but
one of my
okay.
videos mentioned, or we talked about it in the TFT Dojo study group, and then someone in the video confirmed with a Leduc video.
Gotcha. Yeah, I remember Luck put out a video. I forgot to look thoroughly for that. Okay, makes sense.
Right. Rest of the A tier seem reasonable.
I am a little lower on Lux Demacia. I think it's like low A. I don't think it's bad. I think this line is like this one I would be really scared about in low elo because people I think overplay this because it's very easy to be in this line. I will say like you can kind of tell when people are playing into this line generally. Um, but there will be players that play Lost, I think, at lower elo, such that and a contest in this line really fucks this line, I think, because this is like a guarantee instantly kind of line. And people will play like they find Garen on carousel 3-5, and then they just commit. At that point, they have no game plan, no nothing, and then Garen, oh, I'm Demacia, and then at that point, like out of nowhere, you're like 3-wayed, which is not great. But um yeah, make sure you're not playing into several way contest Demacia. You can usually tell like if there are at least one or two players early on that are playing a Demacia opener. But I am very hesitant to play into Demacia from no Demacia units. I think the one augment that would convince me to lean Demacia to consider Demacia even from no Demacia opener is Cluttered Mind. I think this one's a yeah, this is like a fairly reasonable call because Cluttered Mind is a pretty good augment in some spots. That you can just hold all your Demacia units on your bench, even when playing like semi not Demacia, and
Right.
then you find your upgrades that way.
Okay.
I even played Ishtal Cluttered Mind once with playing into Demacia. You hold all the Demacia units on bench, and then you're just Ishtal on board.
All right. How are you feeling about Yanara after the Kindred nerf? I feel like it's like kind of hard to tell with the stats what its true power level is right now.
I think it's very good from good Ionia. From mid Ionia, I think it requires streak. Jin does seem good, so I think that's part of it, and that your opener can be better. I don't know how good it is from not ahead. It used to be that Yunara was not very good from not ahead, but it's possible that it's now good from not ahead if you have good items, good setup, good everything. But uh, yeah, I think this line is a high cap, and that set is very good. Kindred is now even post bug fix a good unit. I'm definitely higher on this unit. I think I'm just not sure how to play from behind, or I'm not sure how good it is from behind. I know for sure from ahead, it's like a really good option, even from mid Ionia. I think.
How would you prio or rank the Ionia different Ionias now, given that they've modified it so many?
I imagine gold from ahead is like the premium spot, and then XP I think is just easy to use and it's still good value later into the game, especially as the game goes longer and longer, the stronger you are. Um, and then beyond that, I think Blade Master is probably the one of the worst. And then the rest give you HP, right? It's Transcendent and Spirits, and I think those are like fine in this comp. So I would say, yeah, Transcendent Spirit. I consider those as fairly similar. I think Transcendent gives you magic damage, right? I think Transcendent's slightly better than Spirits in my mind. Because Yunara doesn't cast all that much. Like your board doesn't really cast that much, so your Spirits isn't really scaling. This is how I view it. Gold, XP, Transcendent, Spirits, Blade. Yeah.
Okay. And in the case that you get spirits and an Ari, what do you want to angle from that opener?
Oh, your opener is I see. You have Ari, you have Spirits, and then you have like a strong AP slam kind of
Yeah.
thing. I would try to play on that for sure. I think I would try to play into one of the AP lines that we discussed anyway.
It's probably Lysandra.
Yeah. You could try if you drop a bunch of item augments, you could just keep those in Ari and then play into Yunara with the Ari there, and then eventually try to like fidget those items around into being set items and like items in the rest of your units. But I think that requires item augments. That's probably the easiest way to play it, like without having to pivot your board that much. But the item situation could be kind of hairy. If that did not happen, I think playing into the Lysandra Seraphine lines could be good. If you're from way ahead, you could try. I have seen like if you're from way ahead, I wouldn't completely rule out playing around level 9. Like I think it's harder to do, but I think the thought process now is can you feasibly 5-2 it? Like a 5-1 or 4-7 is way too hard now because you're way too poor. But if you have the HP to 5-2 it and have like 3 lives still, then that's when I think you go 9 and then you can play towards like a rise setup, like a bruiser rise kind of thing. I haven't seen Riggs all that much. I mean, maybe you could play towards Riggs. I haven't seen it though, and I feel like Ziggs is weaker. But
The other thing that's been showing up in the stats is Seraphine.
you played the ASOL as well. Sorry, I don't know why I'm forgetting ASOL. You could play the Ari line into ASOL, right?
Yeah.
Any AP line is into ASOL.
That's like
you should.
How hard would you force that, right? Like I feel like that seems more of a opportunistic if you natural Tark. Like let's say you're tempoing,
it's not so
you
much
hit it
snapping
on 3/6.
I would say the Tark is actually free. Imagine all these lines, AP lines, you're gonna roll on like in a normal setup, you're gonna roll 40 gold on level 8, right? Like 30 gold on 8 on 4-2. That means Tarek is free. The harder unit is actually Leona, too. If that makes sense.
So then you would do a flex roll down and you're holding the Targons and whatever line you're trying to angle.
Yeah, I think that's actually optimal. So if you're truly like way ahead, I think that's the best way to play the line is that it makes your roll out harder. I consider it more when 3-5 comes around and I'm like 80 to 100 HP like streaking or like I have a strong board, and then you have one Leona on bench. I just hold on that Leona, and the moment I find a second Leona, I'm already like really hard leaned ASOL, right? And then at the point that I'm 0 Leona, I'm really weak. I'm like almost not leaning ASOL, right? It's like when the first Leona comes, like, oh shit, okay, maybe it's happening. And then I do my roll down and I find like no more Leona, it's like, all right, I'm out, right? Or like if I do my roll down, I find like my first few shops are like Lis, Brom. I'm like, okay, I'm not playing ASOL, right? I do my roll down, like my first 5 shops, I have 0 of my units and I find Leona pair, like, oh shit, it's an ASOL game, right? And I find Tarek. So it makes it roll down a little harder, but like it gives you a really good out, right? Because you're from ahead. You have the time and the HP to fuck up your roll down, but you have another out, and then now you low rolled Lysandra, but you found Leona to Tarek. Right? Now you're ASOL from 75 HP on stage 4. And now you also have access to like good odds for Swain and all the other guys in your initial roll down.
Okay. The other comp that's been looking good in the stats is this one here. Annie Seraphine.
This one looks like it is just this one can be an Ishtar cash out. This looks like an Ishtar cash out kind of line.
Or like
the issue with this line is I think it looks like a Shurima line. Right? This looks like someone who high rolled Azir early. I would play this if I found Azir really early, but the issue is it's like a 5-cost centric line. I don't think it's a line you would fast 9 into. Okay. But I would think if you're fast 9ing, you just at that point or if you're in a spot to fast 9 with AP, is this really the line you play towards?
Like Volley Rise was the kind of the standard one that I would go into from RE.
Yeah. XP. Yeah. This is Annie line. Annie's looking better in the stats for sure. I would think you play around uh Annie Set. I feel like Set is insanely good in this meta. Like if you're going 9 with a plan, like Set is way more reliable than playing around. You're not even guaranteed. Like if you make Renekton items, what if you don't? What if you fight like Thanos on 5-1-5-2? You don't even have Renekton. Whereas Set is literally guaranteed, and you just play like there's the old board, right? With the Kabuko, the Zillion. But I don't know what the optimal board is here anymore. But I think Silas being better, you should always go for Silas as well. But like the old board is the Wukong Kabuko, right? Wukong Kabuko Zillion. It had Senna on the board. But people tend to be playing 4 Arcanists now, I think, with like Swain. The last. But yeah, the old board was without Swain. The old board had 1 extra slot. But if you don't play Senna, then you can play 4 Arcanists more easily. Yeah, and then here you play Shyvana.
4, 6,
you can play Shyvana in this slot, I think. Right. One. This is and then Zillion is your extra backliner if you have if you like don't find Shyvana. Yeah. The thing is, here you'll rarely 2-star Swain in this line because at the point you're rolling, you're not finding Swain 2 anymore. So the Swain is a little lower value, but if you find Shyvana 2, then he's high value. So if he casts, he's still good. And then yeah, I think this is like a reasonable default. You always go for Silas, of course, and you can replace Nico, or you can usually it's to replace Nico, but yeah.
Yeah, this makes sense, and it's easier to unlock Kennen through Ionia, and then Kobuko's generally like Kennen's usually the harder of the two to unlock.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. This is also what you play into from Ari. If you're very strong,
Yeah.
you can consider this, right? This is also a Yordle line potentially. Like, I think Yordle's. Actually, Yordle would also be a line that I would consider as better in lower elo lobbies, like Yordle tempo. Let's say I had Teemo pair, Rumble 2, Lulu pair, and AP item. I would consider Yordle. I think Yordle is like you have to get lucky with a weaker lobby generally to be like getting to 9 off of just your Teemo upgrade and whatever upgrade Kennen. But I think it's a very playable. And then if you high roll a Veigar augment, you can just play Veigar. Oh, I also really like the way the easier way to play on Veigar if you get into Veigar spots and you don't want to get dizzy, you have to be familiar with any spots, but you just play Veigar as if you want to like flex Veigar into not Yordles, you just play Veigar as if it's Annie, because they have the same traits. Like they're just both they're just both an Arcanist, right? There's both an Arcanist that doesn't really have other traits, so you can slot in Veigar into any of these. Yeah, and that's fine. And you have Yordle. Like you don't really care. You're 3 out. In fact, 3 out of 2 is fine. It's still value, right? Because it gives you AS.
Okay, that makes sense. Like sets...
You don't have Tibbers on the board. Of course, there's no Tibber on the board. I think Set is still really good in this line. So if you were like Veigar into 9 somehow, you can play Veigar with Annie if you have several AP items as like instead of one of these other Arcanists, but or maybe no Invoker. But I think because usually when you have Veigar, you have so many items, right? So like, but if you just get dizzy and you have a good Veigar spot, just remember that like any Annie board that you've already pre-cooked, you can just slot Veigar in there. Yeah, that makes it easier.
You don't need more Arcanists with Veigar once he scales up anyway, and you have the depth cap.
Yeah. It just depends what your extra items are, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, I like playing around Set a lot more in this ASOL meta. Like, I guess related to that, the Set can like kind of survive the blast and then go heal and come back, and usually you build healing on him anyway.
Yeah.
Are there other lines that you feel like are stronger against the ASOL line?
The Slayer board when you have Eons is not bad because they heal up, they survive, and then they just kill everything, and then they just jump on the ASOL. So that line with I don't think it's a counter. You need really good setup, but I think with Eons, it's
stronger.
It is a playable
ASOL.
Yeah. Slayer with Eon and like good setup. Yeah. You have to have good. You have to have Eon and good. Okay, this is more like if you're playing Slayer and you see ASOL, then Eon comes to the high value. Okay, with set I think is good. Positioning, like volley. The time I beat it with volley, I think volley is not that great into it. But if you just have your tank one side, your guys opposite side, because usually the ASL boards, like the default ASL board is not that good because they have to roll for Leona too, right? And so you just have to recognize that like they have weak spots on their board, whether that it's like where the ASL is not that they literally only have like one really good main tank. They only have one source of damage. So like if you put your main tank in front of ASL, you can kind of work the rest of the ASL player's board while they're working on your tank.
Okay, so let's say you have something like this. You want like Braum here and then everything else away from it.
Yeah. And this is more so if you're guaranteed fighting this guy because this is very scary to do if you're playing against not ASOL. But like here, you have volley left side, and then if the ASOL stuck on this Braum, like you can just work, you can shoot through the entire board. Braum is really strong. Yeah, I think volley's pretty flexible if you can do damage or HP. I've been doing damage more so, but yeah, ideally this is 5 Freljord, and then you have a tower for Braum as well. I think if you're 3, it becomes harder, but ideally you're 5, and then
Right.
yeah, something like this.
So normally it's 2x radius and then 3x radius here. Shockwave increases to 4. Okay.
Yeah. So like this is still, even if it's 4x, if your guy is really far away, it's not going to do anything to volley. The issue with volley, if they're same side, is just dead. Like one ace, even a volley 2, the guy just dies. Healing volley Starak, it doesn't matter. He's gonna take a fuck ton of damage. So you really don't want him same side ace.
So related to that, Eon in general, like if you have melee, Eon is like almost necessary in this meta.
Yeah, I think it's very very good. Ideally you still are opposite side, but it definitely helps.
Okay.
And you want fast fights, I think. Is my thought when you're playing against ASOL. Because he's not very good at 1v1, is why, I think. Like the moment you're like 2 against an ASOL, I feel like you're likely to win. It's just when there's several tanks. You just want to get through the tanks and then you kind of won.
So how does that impact how we think about, let's say, AP Kaisa or Rageblade Kraken, Yunara?
I think those lines tend to try to win on stage 4, right? And typically, if you're 2-star everything or 2-star most of the board, you still win against ASOL stage 4 usually.
Okay. This just means you
So I
got to
don't
hit
think it's
your board
ASOL.
and beat ASOL. Like if you lose to ASOL on stage 4, you're fucked.
If you're from behind, yeah. But I've generally these Kaisa is from behind, and Kaisa I think you should be hitting a lot of your board because you're playing from behind. Yunara, I mean, it's fine. If from ahead you lose one round against ASOL, like it's not the end of the world on stage 4.
Okay. Okay. Rest of this A tier look good.
I think so. The Vayne line I have gotten to play. The stats were saying they liked it, and I think it makes sense given Kaisa being better. I think Echo is low win rate, but pretty good still. I think Echo, you really want to be like I haven't like too much value on a roll. I don't know how much I would play into Echo from like vanilla. Maybe from Echo Pair and Titans. I'm not a big Yasuo believer. I maybe it just hasn't clicked for me, but like I think I would need like a god spot for Yasuo to really work out. I have it like lowest of B in my mind, but I could just be wrong about my take on this. And I think I have Warwick a little higher than C, but the stats really don't hate him as win rate. But the one last check they didn't hate him as an AVP, did they? They just hated his win rate. Let me check now how it looks. But
Like 7 Zon looks decent. Otherwise, it's
I
like
guess it's
kind of
the spats really help it. I guess, but I feel like from behind with Titans, I feel like it's not a bad line. Yeah, it has reasonably high. Um, it's like it's a Seraphine quick striker, I think, right? Is that people tend to like. Seraphine is your backliner. Ideally, you get to. Yeah, I guess that's to like 7 Zon, huh?
5 Zon looks pretty bad.
Yeah.
I guess wait,
I think you just want one backliner ideally, and then your Warwick can be more drain tank. The less backline you have, the more you will kind of really need damage from the Warwick.
are you willing to play Warwick from Lost Streak?
the thing is so if you're like bow chain sword from behind, I think that's like your default line. I don't know what else you play from like bow chain sword. You could try like Slayers with Titans, but that one's a little more experimental. I think you could try but you're either Yunara from behind or Warwick from behind, right? With Titans Yunara or like Titans IE plus an AS item, or your Warwick. You could try Kaisa with GS, but that doesn't sound that great. From behind. Yeah, and then obviously you could argue like Echo or whatever, but like I view these lines as like augment checks. I think Warwick is more playable from like not like an exact augment, or like the other one is like BT something from like sword, cloak, bow. I probably consider Slayer more in that, but things like those is where I'd start to think about my Warwick. A sword chain cloak also, like this is like Warwick type setup. Or you open for bow, you have Titans BT instantly. Because these are like typically weak. If your board is weak, these are like very weak spots, right? Like you can't really get into anything from this. Like you're gonna slam a stone play and then kill 0 units. You slam a BT, kill 0 units. It's like kind of hard.
Okay. What augments were you saying you really like going into Echo?
It's just too much value on a roll. Too much value on a roll. Echo opener. You take Stars Are Born. Um, you can consider like Patience is a Virtue into Bard, right? Things that give you rolls. Like Echo Pair Trade Sector, I'll consider it. Echo Pair Heroic Grab Bag, I would consider it. Things like these. Echo Pair plus the Silver Dupe Augment, I would just dupe the Echo if I had that Slam, right? Dupe the Echo and then get your next dupe later. I forget what that one's called. The silver one that gives you a dupe now, a dupe later.
Yeah.
That one.
Okay.
Yeah, but I view these as like you because I think you have to be strong stage. Ideally, you're strong stage 3. You can still play Ishtal again with this line, but because you have the Nico, but and then like spike on 3-5, but yeah, I would say like like you have to be strong stage 3, but like, if you want Ishtal, you can delay your strength a little because you'll be very strong stage 4 with Ishtal cash out.
Mhm. Okay.
I think Warwick is these are from behind lines, by the way. You should also consider Ishtal for like a tiny cash out. Any like Kaisa, Warwick. The point that you're losing all of your early game, you can just juice yourself with a free cash out, right? Yeah.
Any other adjustments here?
Um,
Or
I don't think
anything
I've ever
I'm
seen a
missing?
Felios win, so just be careful. I think Felios is a reasonable line. Just be careful. Like, even if you're hitting everything super ahead of tempo, you're still in my mind not playing for a win like ever, unless you have some crazy plan of getting there, like Brock or something. But generally, I think you just never win. So
Okay.
just be careful.
In spots where, because I think the main reason for me to play in this tournament is try to qualify for Cup, which is top 4
Mhm.
in the whole tournament.
Oh, it's top 4 exactly. Yeah, I think
Um,
like your game plan probably changes like later into the tournament, but
yeah,
earlier
like
on, I would
day 3
imagine you.
changes. I think first
Yeah.
day, or I guess I got by first day, but day 2, let's play safe. But then day 3, how would you, what would your game plan be to try to like place higher if I know I need to get first? It's like basically a soul and
I think ASOL I would play more from like if I thought I was better than the players in the field, which may not be the case anymore in day 3, but if I still thought that, I would think ASOL is more so the tempo ASOL because I feel like if I knew I was worse than players, I would flip ASOL lost streak. But if I was better than players, I would still just play my Yunara, Belveth, ASOL from ahead kind of lines if I had the spot to play those, and then I would just farm seconds and then you win off that, right? And maybe if it's checkmate, I don't think it's checkmate, or if it is in
no,
your
I don't
last
think
game,
so.
maybe.
Okay,
Yeah, I feel like I would just farm seconds with the good lines.
makes sense. All right. So given that, unit tiers.
Yeah. I don't because I don't have the Demacian super high. I have Sona Jarvan as A's. I don't have them as S. Um, yeah, I think Jin is A. Shen S is Yeah, I guess if Yunara is that good, if it's I think Shannon and Jin are more so if it's a good Ionia. I think these guys change a lot. Like they dropped to A, I think, in a bad Ionia. Um, I think Alawi I consider more as a B. And then let me look at the rest of these. Briar, yeah, is A because of Kiana. Blitz is like B slash A, I think, because the reason I think Blitz is a little higher is Echo is good. Vi is a good unit. You can pair with Blitz if you find Zon. Um, Kiana Briar. So like he just goes into like almost every line. Like there's the Kog'Maw with Cho. He goes Briar, Kiana can go into that line. So I think Blitz is a little higher. Caitlyn C. Yeah, I agree. Rumble Lulu. I have Rumble higher than D. I have Rumble at like almost B. I don't think he's a bad unit, and then Jarvan
Mainly
is good.
with Jarvan. Okay.
Yeah, he's. I think he's B, and then I have Lulu as yeah. And Lulu is like only exactly if you need Tempo Yordle, which is like
Right.
pair Timo, pair Tristana. Two cost. Cho is just for Void, I assume.
Yeah. Assuming you have good
I
voice.
don't know how much. I feel like when I see Husk on my second Void, I'm already like very against holding Void over other stuff. I think it's still not a horrible line, but I start to devalue the Void units being held on stage 2 over other stuff, stage 1, when it's a Husk on 9. Sorry, on 4. Husk on 4.
Yeah.
Is Zin just for a hero augment?
Hero
I guess
Augment
he has
or
trade. I guess he's triple
Demacia
trade.
and
He's triple
Ionia and
traded.
Warden's good right now, right?
Yeah, I guess that's fair. Actually I do hold him a lot. Okay, I guess he's like close to S, just based on his traits. He's also not that bad of a unit. Yeah, I can see it. I would say like he's more so if you like if he's like a triple check. If it's gold augment first and you have Zen items, you hold. If you have Ionia and it's a good Ionia, you hold. And if you have Demacia units, you hold. So like if you fail all those checks, he's not S. But I guess that's kind of implied in every unit. Yeah, just make sure you're not like out of nowhere holding Zen with you're like you have like Slayer units, Slayer items, you're just holding Zen because you put him S here. Just like
Yeah.
make sure you're not doing that. But I assume you won't. Um I tend to view Nico as S. I think Nico is like I don't think I've ever sold a Nico. Once I started becoming an Ishtal believer, Ishtal and like it just slots into all the good lines. Like you play AP tempo with Anivia because she's chills. You can play Ishtal. Um, Defender is good, like good with Vi, good with Echo reroll, good with Aphelios reroll if you're playing that line. Like I just have a really hard time justifying selling Nico. I don't make 10 or like yeah, I don't make 10 if I have Nico typically, or I'm not willing to sell her. Yeah, I think Vi's A. Yasuo is like yeah, I think Yasuo is high up because it gives you a line and Ionia's if the Ionia's good. Rek'Sai, yeah, I agree with A if the Void is good. Probably B if the Void is bad. Scion, I think Scion is more a if the rest of your board looks good and you're willing to play off of LeBlanc. I don't think LeBlanc is that good if your board is weak. But I think LeBlanc is very good if your board is like above average.
And when we say rest of board, it really just means Briar 2, right? Briar 2 or like another
Bruiser
invoker.
upgrade.
Oh, Bruiser upgrade.
Bruiser upgrade, Briar 2, and another invoker pair. It's like some combination of those makes me want to hold the sign. And then obviously having like AP item the slam for LeBlanc. I think AP item is way better than tank item because you're gonna have a lot of frontline, right? So you want the AP slam.
Do you have Echo higher?
Yeah, I have Echo higher. I have Echo at like A because you don't even have to play him into Echo. You can just play him into Warwick, right? Which is
Right.
it just gives you direction. Aphelios B, I even have him slightly lower. I think. I guess B is fine. B is fine because he also can fit onto your board if you're playing strongest because he gives you Sunder. Like Ash is C, I agree. I think TF is D, I agree. And the other two are like I view the Orals as like I think they're really high up if you're like everything paired. If you're like Rumble pair, Lulu pair, Timo pair, I think I hold all of them. But if they're not, I hold none of them. Basically, they're like an all or nothing.
Yeah.
Because you guarantee like hit them all right on the 4 Yordle shop.
Right. What is your default line if you're playing Yordles?
I
Is
play
it
towards the
so
item.
hard to get to 9 now?
Yeah, I play towards items and the ideally you're going Nash or JG, and then you just play towards any AP line, any of the ones I mentioned before, right? So like, it's like if you go 9, then you can play towards the Annie board. If you roll an 8, you can play towards the Alessandra board.
Yeah, and if you slam that, then you always have ace with an out as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so then are you never trying to really slam AD on Tristana? I guess that would be go into like
No, I think
Ionia.
it's fine. You can play into Yunara. There's no reason you couldn't play into Yunara. If you have to make sure you're not playing into a deep contest, but if the line makes sense, like there's no reason to not play into Yunara. I don't. There's a world where you can play this into Slayer. I think it's because you go crack. Like, there's no reason you couldn't go crack in QSS Tristana, right?
Yeah, that's
You
true.
could. Like, there's really no reason you couldn't.
And if you are doing that, how how many rounds are you willing to be at level 8 with 8 Yordle? This depends on your HP.
I think what I would try if I went 8 for. So I think I wouldn't really force going 8 Yordle. I would just think of it like 6 Yordle could give you some rolls that you could bank if you don't use them, and then the board's a little expensive, so you could 4 or 5 level 8 into Slayer if the line is free and like you're dipping in HP. And if you go 8 on 4-2, but you don't have enough gold to roll, you could like farm like 1 or 2 cash outs and then 4 or 5. It just depends if you're playing into Slayer or something. I think that's less standard, but uh you wouldn't have to force 8 Yordle, right? Like you can just go 2 into 4 into 6 and then you just dip. You're just like playing. You're just using it as strongest board, right? And some like if your opening shops are triple pairs of Yordles, that means the rest of your shops are weak. So your strongest board is easily going to be Yordle, and it's strong because it'll give you the upgrades, and then it's just another line. It's not like some special like you must hit 8 Yordle kind of thing.
Okay, so the only spot that you really go 8 Yordle is if you have HP and or you're actually quite strong.
Yeah,
You've
you
hit
play
your
into 9.
Kennen
And
2, you
I
hit
think
your
9
Kumiko 2.
you,
Yeah.
you can also play into the Kindred board, right? The old Kindred board. I think that board is still very strong. I think I played a game of it even after the hotfix, and it feels very strong. It's like the
This is the Draven one.
yeah, the Draven one. Yeah. You can play Tristana into that. There's no reason you couldn't.
Right.
It just depends. Like if you're IE leaned, you can play into the Yunara board on 9. And then if not, you play into Kindred. Yeah. And you can roll for the Yunara board on 9. Like if you have the spot for it, like there's no reason you couldn't.
Right.
Just because you're going 9 doesn't mean you have to play on Kindred Duo. Because you're also playing around Set, right? Who's a much better odds on 9, of course.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, actually, that line has a really good matchup into Hazel, right? Because you have both Set and Kindred with the shield now.
Yeah. I can definitely swing the fight.
It's just how you actually hit Kindred 2 is the question, and Set 2.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, if you're going 9, not everyone's. I actually think that hitting 2-star 5 cost is easier if you're in a spot to go 9, because most
Nobody
people are
else
not
will
rolling
contest
9.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be contested, which is like, I mean, sometimes it happens, but if there are 2 people that have insane spots and you don't fight each other.
Yeah. Okay. All right. 3 costs.
Oh yeah, Leona Zoe agrees, especially if you have econ, because then you can just like play into Giga. I guess you could tempo off them as well. Ari is just really good. Hard to sell. Emilio, yes. Loris, yeah, I agree. High A. Sedge, yeah, I also agree with that. I think I'm agreeing with most everything here. I think, yeah, I think Mal's I have slightly. I'm pretty high on Mal's, but I still think Mal's is like high B low A. But I think this is already like fairly accurate though. This is like a nitpick.
If we have Carapace and not Adrenaline, I assume we just hold for 2 Void in, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, which I guess that if that's your logic for low A, that I'm fine with that. Nautilus Mundo,
You like Mundo higher?
I'm thinking about Nautilus. How often I'm holding Nautilus?
Really,
The
just
thing is,
if you're
Warden
playing
is
into
pretty
GP.
good. Yeah, if I'm playing the GP, I hold, and if you're playing around like Diego, you definitely hold this
right,
for
Diego
Warden
as well. Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, low B is fine. I guess he's very conditional. I think. I think I'm looking at the 8 list. I think I sell Vayne pretty often if I'm not Demacia. Like no Vayne item, no Demacia, you just sell this guy. So he's very conditional. I think GP is less conditional because you can just play 3 builds for some econ or one Kiana. The GP is already high value because they're both good units early game. Like you can win off 1-star GP some lobbies. Draven, Draven is like okay. I think in weaker lobbies, Draven is higher. I like 100 streak. Okay, this is like kind of fake because it was like I had Kraken and Draven pair, and then I got the dupe augment. You just like Draven can just win you the game outright. If you hit a good opener off Draven, you just won because
Right.
he farms you gold. You take a Draven too because no one is taking Draven off carousel. You tempo, you farm like 30 gold off of Draven, and then you just won. So just make sure you're not like losing those outs if you have like Noxus opener and a good bow item or bow. Um, they're dupe augments, right? There are many. I mean, there exist dupe augments, not many. There's heroic grab bag, and there's the one I took was a silver one. I dropped like Draven pair off of the last orbs on stage 1. And if you believe Draven is truly C, you consider selling that for econ, right? But just make sure like Draven can you're aware Draven can win you the game for free.
Okay, yeah. It's like very, very specific spots.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you have to have a bow slam and probably Draven pair
I think Draven one no pair, but you have like one
or
bruiser
dupes.
upgrade and Scion. One bruiser upgrade, Scion and Briar and a bow item. I wouldn't sell Draven ever there, right? Like you're like Kraken or Rageblade or even like Last Whisper, but you're strong. I would not sell the Draven there. Because they're augments that make your line just really good, right?
Yeah, and in that case, you are ideally trying to get to the Fast 9 Draven board, but as a backup, if you can't get there, you just go Yanara.
There's Jinara, and then if you believe in the Slayer from Rageblade
Oh,
line,
right, right.
like the up front, you could also play into Slayer if you get stuck on. If like Yunara is 10 Wade or for whatever reason, like your shops are leading that way, you can play Slayer.
Okay, that makes sense. And you can
Yeah,
play
I think
around
Jinx is
like
D.
GP anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I think that Draven can easily play into that line. So I would
Okay.
I would
Would you
almost
move it up
never
to B
consider
then?
re-rolling Draven. Yeah, I'll put him at low B and then Jinx D. I agree.
Okay. Openers. What spots are you unlocking Oriana on 1-4 right now? Is it just when you have the uh was it Genivia this opener?
No, I even just like Nico Vi. Nico Vi, I think his board is pretty like reasonably strong.
Just play this with any invoker.
Yeah. If you have an augment that like makes you strong early, I feel like this board is pretty strong. You can win 4 rounds for 3 or 4 rounds. I think of it as almost like LeBlanc. Yeah, if I just think of Oriana as LeBlanc and any build over, just make sure you're aware you can also slam on Caitlyn, right? If like you have other good frontline that is not, I guess you won't have build over in, but it's a little gambling because if you hit a weak build over, then it starts to feel a little suspicious to play into the line. You don't hit blast shield. You'll be strong early game though. You hit nets or something. It's just then your line becomes a little odd because now you're playing like, I guess if you play into Lissandra, you're not desperate for a good pilt over. You start to become a little desperate for Zillion is the issue, but if you don't have a good pilt over, but I mean you can have cogs as well. It's more so if you miss cogs and you miss blast shield, you are gonna be a little sad. But there's nothing as opposed to LeBlanc who has no downside, right?
Yeah. Okay. So the default line with Oriana is just play into List Seraphine and
Yes, but
or
I think when
invoker
you make
variant.
Shojin, um, okay, you would have to believe in Kaisa from No Void, no Rift Herald, which we've discussed. I think we were discussing if you recall yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and some people believe in it. We're not really sure, but let's say you make Shojin and then you end up fighting like 5 strong boards stage 2, and you're a little behind. You could try to play this into Kaisa, right? AD Kaisa. This is exactly from Shojin Slam, where like, and then you drop a sword on neutrals. But you could, but you'd have to believe in non Herald Kaisa.
Forget what that board looks like.
It's Caitlyn Loris is the core, right? And then you're just playing Braum at that point. Caitlyn Loris, Cog. You're always playing Cog. Of course, for your offensive, yeah. And then now it's just frontline. And then the yeah, Swain. If you don't expect it, Swain too. There was a variant that Dazik was saying could be good. I don't know how much I buy it because the frontline looked ass. It's but the duo is way better. It's you drop Swain, drop Nautilus, and you play Zin Ari set. Zin Ari set. Yeah. Your duo is way better. But now the frontline look okay. I mean, Braum Loris are good units. It's just you only have 3 frontliners. I guess if you consider set a frontliner, then you have 4. But this is one theory crafted board. The other is was the Nautilus. You drop the set and the set and the Zin, and you play Swain. Swain Nautilus and the Ari as well. You drop the Ari, you drop the guy Swain Nautilus, and then you can play you can drop the Zin, and then and then here this is an open slot. You can play Tarek. You can play if you lack damage infinite frontline. You can play a Vayne. Like I think Vayne's actually not even that bad, but yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is obviously like you're playing for a replacement, but
Right.
I don't think that this like I don't if assuming you have good setup, good items, like I don't think this board is that bad.
So if you do slam Shojin on Ori, you don't really like going into Invoker that much, the Shojin slam?
Oh no, I do. That's my default. It's more so like if I end up really weak and then like I want to play Kaisa from like you level stage 3, right?
Okay, like a 3/5,
But
guarantee your 4
yeah.
cost. Yeah, okay.
Whereas like the AP lines, I like to play either from ahead or from Ishtal. And I think if you don't have, let's say you slam Ori, Shojin, and then you end up being, it's more so if you ended up being weaker than you thought, right? Which is not ever ideal, but like somehow you misjudge the lobby or they all hit everything randomly on stage 2. Then now you're all of a sudden you're Ori Shojin from behind, and and then you drop a sword. That's when I would think, okay, fuck it, I'll just play Kaisa from that, maybe like from that spot, right? Same with I think adaptive is also reasonable on Kaisa AD. You would just need some AD source to make sure she's AD.
Okay. So what percentage of time then when you have a over are you like slamming for unlock? Ori that is.
I had been doing it, but the issue is that it's because early in the patch, I had been doing it mostly to test it. But I like it has felt good when I've done it. That's what I'll say. So
Like
percentage of time, if I had to play in a tournament, and you asked me what percentage of time I would do it. I tend to delay my line selection, and when I'm truly playing like for tournaments. So I would tend to not slam and stay open to augment unless I was like quite strong. Unless you're strong, yeah. Yeah, because like there's a chance your augments like give you some really good line. Yeah.
Jin 2, are you willing to slam stuff that don't lead you to Yanara? I guess you could also do Shojin into this board too.
I haven't tried that. People are saying Jin is stronger with other items. I don't know how exactly strong he is. I haven't tried that, so it's possible, but not sure.
And this is gonna be fake stats, but
The issue is, yeah, I mean, the thing is, they're not that fake, but like they're also like kind of wonky. Yeah, it's people that are 3-starring Jin or that have him on their board. But
actually, this has early game stats. Let me see if Jin shows.
I don't think it's that good.
50% win rate.
fine. Yeah, it's like that's whatever, right?
Okay, so no is the default answer.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your take on this opener?
Let me look through it. I agree, Sona's good. This is like a very obvious opener. Like you have all the Demacia. Sure, you're Ionia. Ionia must have must yeah, eventually, yes, but like homeless, a soul, yeah, I agree for the AP. You kind of need econ though, but like sometimes you can just 10 loss into just whatever, fuck it, like 7 loss, 8 loss, 3-5 it, even with no econ. You just pray you get econ on 3-2 if you really have no spot. Echo, artifact, emblem, trin a lot. Yeah, agree.
This is really only RFC, right?
I think so. I've only seen it pop off with that. AB tempo, list arrow for a Zir. Yeah, see, this is where I feel like people are not valuing the volley list board, but on 8. But I don't think he has it. But that's all. The popular one. Disagreement. List Sarah. Yeah, I already went over that one. But my variant is the 4 pilled over. I'm sure there are other variants though. You don't need to play the one I gave. It's just I think those units are easy to play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Real Ishal Og, IE Kaisa, Demacia / Void is fine. Yeah. With Kaisa, I think either 4 Bruiser or 4 Jugs are fine. If you're playing Void, right? I assume you are aware of both those variants.
I know the 4 bruiser one. Let me just pull up the 4. The
4
4
Jug
jug
is
is just
Mundo. Mundo is the Bruiser, I think. Yeah. Swain.
1, 2, 3. Shyvana, or this until Shyvana.
Yeah. Yeah, and then a Cog
This.
Cog Herald. Yeah, this one.
And the distinction between the two probably just depends on your items. Like if you have enough items to itemize Kaiser, Rift Herald, and Set, you'd probably prefer or
Volley, you mean?
Volley. Yeah, sorry, Volley.
Yeah, I think the more you stuck on 8 you are, the more the Bruiser one is better. The more you go 9 for Ziggs, the more the Ziggs line is better. This is more like a go 9 for Ziggs duo, right? And then the other one is more so like a you can do well with both. It's just the other one like you're guaranteed your 5 cost on 8. Well, assuming you hit items for Herald and you upgrade the Herald, but yeah, you tend to get with 4 Bruiser you tend to get volley really easily.
Yeah. You're also more likely to play towards this one if you're playing from Lost Street because you just get Singe for free.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the advantage of this board is you get 3 unlocks, right? Singe, Blitz, Kaisa.
Belveth.
The rest of us, good Void, Belveth, main. I was under the impression that Belveth can use any of the Void offensive ones because she doesn't have a amp. So I think Kaisa likes the amp one a lot less, Adrenaline. But I thought Belveth was fine with any of them. At least that was how I've been playing it. And then Kaisa Void, Baron. Yeah, sure. This is more like Econ Portal, but yeah. Lifting, rise, volley. I think from the lifting competition. I think you can also do the list board I was talking about, in addition to this rise volley, of course.
Yeah. It's just if you can't get to 9, then this board seems like the natural default.
Yeah. Aphelios, Nico, copy. Yeah, you need items, but yeah. Draven, yeah. I'm actually pretty on point with most of the things he's saying. Melee Slam, Tempo, Warwick, Noxus, Ionia, Frel. Melee Slam plus Tempo. Like he's talking about like BT or Titans probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. You could also Belveth, I guess, or you could also Belveth, or I guess by melee he probably means BT exactly. And I rarely slam BT because I feel like it's not even a good item on Warwick anyway. It's just like a whatever item on him. So when I'm thinking Titans, because I'm never slamming BT, that means to me a melee slam means Titans. And if I'm slamming Titans, you can play Elveth or Yunara as well, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, if you
I can't remember the last
slam
time I slammed. I don't even know what would make me slam BT. I feel like it'd be Sword. It has to be Sword Cloak Chain. No, Sword Cloak Chain, I would slam GA because it's a better item now. I would slam Eon. So I don't even know when I would slam BT.
and if you
Sword.
slam Eon, wouldn't you still prefer Slayers?
Yeah, Eon just gets you out of You can still play in Warwick with that, but yeah, that would get me out of Yunara, I guess. I'll probably play Slayers at that point, and I'm happy about it.
Like
With
this is
Open Cloak.
specifically, I think, if you are playing around Echo, because if you're playing around Kiana too, you probably just naturally go down the Slayer tree anyway.
I mean, but there's no reason you couldn't play Slayers from Echo as well. But from Echo. But I mean,
Yeah.
I guess you would likely play Warwick at that point because you get him really easily
Yeah.
with the board you're playing. But it has to be Echo with. Yeah, I guess you're saying Echo with Titans and you don't have Echo reroll augment. Yeah, and those spots, that's when I tend to value Warwick.
Yeah, so I think
It's
this
like
is even
Titan
more
Sword.
narrow. This is melee slam with Echo. Because if you're
I think so.
melee slam with Kiana, you probably just want to make a reasonable Slayer item slam and go down the Slayer.
Yeah. Which is not BT, obviously.
Yeah. Okay. I think you answered.
I don't necessarily agree with this must-click emblem og because of how. Okay, I think they're very high EV. I'm just saying that like if you have very good lines already, ditching them for augments on 2-1, there are very clear misses still. I think Bilge is just so bad if you don't have Bilge opener. Even if you have Bilge opener, okay, I think with Bilge opener that's a good Bilge opener. It can definitely work, but if you don't have Bilge, it's just not. And then if the Ionia is bad, Ionia becomes awful as well. So these artifacts, these emblems are just like very flippy. Yeah. And then the rest I think are okay. The rest are mostly like Yordle's just a good item.
I guess
and the rest
related
are
to that, I've seen a lot of people take Legion of Threes. What lines would you go into with the non-obvious ones? So like,
I think it's just a very strong augment stage 2. So
you
make sure you have
want a 3-cost orb to justify clicking this?
Yeah, I think this is a lot weaker without 3 costs already on bench. Yeah, and then I've seen people play into this. The good players play into Slayer without without having it. It was like some random artifact, random emblem. They're like, yeah, I don't care, I'm Slayer.
Specifically, you want to have
it's a
GP.
combat augment for GP and
yeah.
it's GP and Nautilus, right? Or have some strength from it. I've tried cooking with this. Like I got like Disruptor, I think, and I played like or Void. I forget what it was, and I had like a Giga Mouse opener, and it felt pretty good. I was like, I played some crazy like Mouse, Loris, like a bunch of 3 costs, Mundo, and it was really strong for a lot of the game. So you can kind of cook, but there's so many hits. Right? There's so many emblems you can hit, but like I think it's just a 3 cost orb kind of thing. I had Mouse, and it was just so free. Mouse opener with offensive Void up, of course, and then this emblem, and then yeah, your opener is going to be really strong. So I think you think of it more as like you take it when your opener is strong with 3 cost.
Okay, that makes more sense. So
and then just don't fall in love with the emblem. Yeah, don't fall in love with the emblem. I think the emblem can be a high roll, but like you can also go the opposite, right? You can also ditch the 3 cost. Like you just have to evaluate where the weight is and what it gives you. Like, for example, you have 3 costs, you take it, and you get Freljord emblem, which I think is very strong. You can play around the 3 cost early to tempo, and then you can ditch the 3 cost line and play around Freljord emblem later, right? If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. What are the most broken emblems that from this specific augment you would want to ditch the 3 cost more? So you said Freljord.
Demacia, like you don't have to play around Vayne. Right? Like let's say you have 3 costs. Let's say it's you have AP items. Like I wouldn't try to like futz my AP items to make them Vayne items just because this is a 3-cost thing. So I'll still just play regular Demacia.
Invoker into Ace-Hole.
Invoker, you play Ace-Hole, yeah, you just play Ace-Hole, right? Let's see what else here is. I don't think Zon is broken, but like maybe your spot gets you into Zon. It would be let's see what else. Vanquisher, I guess is the play on Belveth, which is a GP line, which is 3-cost, I guess. Trying to think what else here. Yeah, I'm not sure what else. Yeah, maybe long shot. Like you could play into like, and you have a void opener. You play into like you're like long shot Malice. You just play into Kaisa like Belveth or something. Yeah.
Okay, so those are the key ones, and if anything else can kind of just ditch. I guess Pilk can go into the list line as well, and you have Obuko. Is there another 3-cost? Oh, and
If you have
Loris.
Pilt, it allows you to play. I think the biggest thing is it allows you to play Zillion on 8 more easily instead of Oriana. I'm trying to think how else you could leverage it.
You can always go into TX.
Yeah, I think the issue with TX is that like it's hard to have items for everyone, right? Like good items on TX.
Yeah.
The times I have gotten to that, like I don't think he's well. It was on PPE, so it's hard to say for sure. The stats really hate it, but the thing is, I think the stats just hate TX. There was a digital game where he played around them. Like he has some line that he's been wanting to test. I think he tested it once or twice now, and it's looked good. It was our Briar, Eat Briar, but that is like more not discovered, so you'd have to be cautious with that because Briar gives you crit chance. Like I'm pretty sure the crit chance is busted on 3-star, and that's why he's considering it.
Oh.
Yeah,
And
it's just no one balancing the actual stats from Hex, whatever it's called, and so like they discovered that the mana region one is broken, but they haven't discovered that the assassin one is broken.
okay, so by default it's the assassin one now.
Yeah, 100% crit chance is just too much. If you just look at the scaling, it just looks wrong. Like everything else is like scaling like a regional lot, and then the crit chance is just like crazy.
How are you even getting a Briar 3?
That's I think it's like on a roll. On a roll, or the other one I theorized, which sounds cool, but I don't know how to get there, is Rek'Sai 3. You play Rek'Sai 3, like you just high roll all your Rek'Sais, and then you just feed him later on to TX. Because he's also an assassin. And you would be strong, right? You'd be from ahead, and then you get into TX somehow.
Okay.
I mean, it's not really that hard if you're tempo, because then you just play around like upgrades.
Okay.
Instead of Caitlyn 3.
Another angle is constructs a champion 3/2 after Legion.
Yeah, exactly. You could do that. It's just at that point, like the issue with that is that you buy a Briar, and then now you still have to print all the Piltover units to get to the guy. Yeah. So you better be strong on your Briar 3 for a bit, because you're not going to have TX for a long time.
Right.
Unlike the Caitlyn, who gives you a bunch of stars, right, towards TX.
Right.
But that being said, if you build over Emblem, then you can put on the Briar to unlock him, right? And then you pop it off.
That's a very specific spot. Okay.
I think it's more so you might fall into that if you're a Rise Portal, right? Your Rise Portal, you have yeah, Piltover. Like Rise Portal, all of a sudden, like everything is fair game.
It is interesting. Okay. It's specifically, is Briar the only assassin?
Rek'Sai, Briar. Who are the other ones? Worth the wait is how you also get into this, right?
Oh, right.
Worth the wait 1 or 2. You can consider the. I mean, you could just play Rek'Sai into Baron, but you could also play them into TX potentially if you have the spot for it. I think there's a 3. Is there a 3-cost assassin? No, I'm forgetting. I don't think so. Might be Gwen. Is it Gwen? No, I think she's a magic fighter. Or yeah. It's just Rek'Sai.
Okay. Cool. I think that.
I think Fizz is the okay, but you're never feeding a Fizz, so yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah. Oh, and Diana. Is Diana assassin? She might be, but not that it matters so much. It matters for lucky item chests, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, she is.
That's all the questions I have. Oh wait, last one. Double Trouble Targon. That thing.
We didn't go over Slayer variants. I think I have a lot to say on that stuff, but
Oh
if you already
yeah.
are comfortable with that, I'm fine.
Is it? Oh, I
I
just figured we covered a lot when we talked about it more earlier. But if you
oh,
feel like
gotcha,
there's
gotcha.
more we haven't covered, then I'm definitely down.
Let me see what we have because I just play this line so much, so I feel like if there's something I missed, I feel like there's more value if I'm gonna yap. There's value in me talking about this board. Looks like you already have a lot of the boards though. You're saying which variant is Void variant strongest? Which one is that? Is that the 4 Void one?
This one. I think this one looked the best in the stats, or at least showed up the most. That it was
You farm serpents a lot slower now if you're strong. So it is a little harder to get to the GP3.
right.
That being said, I don't love Herald in this line unless you have like good tank items. Like you rarely have good tank items is the thing. So I am surprised this is looking best in the stats. The way I play this line is I don't have that much eco. And so generally, I mean you can, I guess. I wouldn't say that necessarily, but like
Since you're
I
prioing
tend to
combat.
see what. Yeah, I
And
primary combat
items.
slash like I don't really like it's more so when I take an eco on 2-1, I'm like not really trying to play into this line. It's like mm. It's usually when you have Kiana, strong Kiana opener, and that's when I feel like you take items, right? You take some tempo thing, and then you usually don't end up having or like and then there are also many combats that are really good for this line that you can be tempted into taking one on 3-2. Uh yeah, but I wouldn't say you don't take eco into play. Like, eco is always good. To be able to hit earlier. Let me see. Belveth Ambessa duo carry. Okay. Never worry about Aatrox. You probably already know that. If you have a million. Oh, Sword Overflow. You can play. And like a bunch of items. You can play Kaisa. So just think of the Kog'Maw variant. You just play Kaisa. The one in Kog'Maw, you play Kaisa in the Kog'Maw spot.
That's the bilge.
Oh, you don't have it's the BFL board. The BFL board has Kog'Maw instead of Rek'Sai.
Oh, right. Yeah,
You
I
can
need to
play, and
copy
then you can
that
also play
down.
the 4 Void one, and you just play Kog'Maw and the other guy instead.
Let me
Kog'Maw
pull up
Kaisa.
that BFL.
BFL board is the Bilge and then Scion. And then we have to insert the Warden variant here with it. That's after this. Scion, Kog'Maw.
468. This board.
Yeah.
So you're saying
Yeah. And
Kaisa can be instead of what?
Instead of Kog'Maw. If you have Sword Overflow, you have items for everyone. This can be instead of Kog'Maw. You don't have Long Shot, but if you want to play Long Shot, you just don't play Alawi. You play Herald. But this is the default BFL board, right? And then if you want to play, we can always try to. It's like the Callista variant, but like your backliner now is Kaisa. If you have a million items to make this work, but it's just something to be aware about. Like when you draw a bunch of swords, the Kaisa starts to become an option. You can, but like at the same time, like you don't have to, in that you also have items for GP and Ambessa, right? It's just something like when you get more and more items and you're stuck on 8, you can upgrade your Kog'Maw into a Kaisa, right? Like on neutrals, you unlock the Kaisa and then you have another item sponge. If that makes sense. Yeah, like this board, because you're stuck on 8 a lot. If you're like rolling a lot, you can just think of gradual upgrades to it, right? Like you like eventually, if you don't have GP3 and then you unlock Herald really late, you upgrade the Alawi into Herald, and then I think Shyvana 1 is better than Nautilus 2 with the aura. Not 100% sure on that, but I think if the rest of your board's upgraded, this is probably better. And then I don't think Wukong 2 is better than Noxus. I think Scion is better. Yeah. The upgrade to this board would be if you get to 9, you unlock Volley very easily, and then you could consider Volley over Scion. If you have items like a TG.
I guess you could throw in, I don't know, something else over this Kog'Maw if you already have 2 Void.
From Herald. Yeah. Some backliner like a Senna. I guess Senna has no she has util slow. She has the board wide amp and DR. So it'd be Senna over Kog'Maw if you have the Herald. Yeah, and then obviously you're always adding Fiddle, and then it's just high value units, right? Eventually. One thing I haven't tried, just looking at this board now, is you could actually pivot it into Kindred, but you have to drop the Belveth. But you like if you have Kraken, the board is starting to look like the Noxus Kindred board, but it's a little far, but like not really. It's 3 units away. It's like Herald, GP, and Belveth. Right? At this point, this is like almost a Kindred board. Something to think about. Like if you randomly are like getting to 9 and then like you high roll your Belveth and you don't have a spot for Belveth 3, you can try to go into this. It's gonna definitely better if you have frontline items.
And I guess how many do we have? 2, 4, 6, 7. You could play like Volley and like I mean you could still keep the bruisers.
You keep them, yeah. There's no reason you couldn't keep them. Like if you're likely no Herald, right? You're likely no Skarner, so you keep those. That looks pretty good.
Yeah, this looks pretty strong.
Yeah. I haven't done this, but I mean it makes sense, right? If you're like you kind of lack Rage Blade, but you don't really need Rage Blade that badly.
Yeah, this could be on that encounter that gives you gold when people die.
Oh yeah, true. I think by default you would just angle Belveth 3 and you try to get Fiddle 2, but like if you're a contested Belveth, then yeah, you angle this. And then there's also the Warden variant, which I think we discussed with Dasic, with Titan's Rage Blade.
Oh yeah, let's go over that.
I think it's just Braum,
Boom.
Loris. Who was the Piltover he had here now? I forget. He's playing around GP and Bessa still. It's GP just ties the two together. He wasn't playing Noxus anymore.
Was it still Nautilus and Wayne?
He wasn't playing Gurlch either. It was Braum, Loris. I think he was playing. Oh no! Now kind of. Let me look through the. Did he have it in our study group? I guess he could play a defender, but it doesn't look that high value. With Blast Shield, I guess it's good.
Is it Freljord? That seems weird.
Yeah, the third unit is not that.
Go something like this.
You probably could fit Freljord in. The volley's hard to get to, right? Like, yeah, I think it would be. It'd probably be Quick Striker. Now I think about it, you go, you drop the Wukong. I would think it'd be Quick Striker. You go, Sedge Ash something, Sedge Ash, and you can't really fit. Yeah, it's kind of hard though. Oh, you can't even fit Quick Striker. Yeah, it's kind of wonky. They also think you don't have to fit Ambessa, but let me see. Like, where's this board he was saying? I haven't tested it out.
I assume it's just more Wardens.
Yeah, I don't think he plays Zen on this board, but you still need Void, right? It was it was Cho'Gath.
Yeah.
It was Cho'Gath for sure.
Okay, yeah. Then it should be something like this, and then the Vi is maybe flexible.
I think the Vi is kind of weird. Yeah.
Like, what pilt do you want here? It's just Blast Shields, right? But otherwise,
if you're truly backloaded, you could still use like AS. not even bad.
Yeah.
I think last year will be better, but
4, 6, 7.
I guess just open slot that you can fit either Pilt or
Alright. I mean,
yeah.
then this could be the Lista if you came from and with
Yeah,
all the
and then now you
wardens,
can
it
play
scales better.
now you can play Yorick instead of one of
Oh,
your wardens. I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
know
yeah.
who, but
I mean, you're not playing
you don't need
Thor.
Ambessa. You don't need Ambessa anymore. If
Yeah.
you're not gonna have items for her. If you're Belveth Glacier, you're not gonna have items for Ambessa. Then you're likely you can play Yorick. Yeah.
Who did I take out? Oh, I took out this guy. Interesting. And then if you get items later, then you can do this.
Yeah. Also, the way he was suggesting positioning around this is you have Braum take all the aggro initially, and lower everything else is kind of third row, especially the lower. So everything is like way in the back, yeah, and then the Loris is like it's something like this. I think Loris has to be one back even still, because the Loris will take some damage this way. Yeah, something like this, and then Braum takes most of the aggro. The right side can take some. This is a little scary in that the Belveth can walk up and then Belveth takes aggro from left side. I think you want the Braum.
This.
No, sorry. It's still left side. You don't want you want the Braum directly in front of the Belveth, yeah. And then here, like right side will aggro. Some will aggro Nautilus, and that's fine. You're fine with that. But most will aggro Braum, and then Loris will taunt, and then Braum will get extra casts. This is basically like in generally how you want to try to. It becomes harder with Freljord Tower, but when you're playing on Braum, you generally want to try to toggle aggro with Loris with something like this.
And then if you are playing this for a while, you can still get Shadow Isle stacks, get to 9 and throw in Thresh.
You can throw a Thresh, yeah. There's no reason not. You got it.
Yeah,
That looks good to me.
that makes sense. And then early game, you're playing around probably Titan Rageblade for Diego to be strong and hopefully streak into this.
Yeah, for sure.
Then you put like your LW red buff here.
Mhm.
I guess that's too many bows.
I actually don't think that I don't think that Titans QS like the stats haven't hated it either, and to me like Twitch chatter's favorite thing to shit on, like, oh, you have double CC immunity, but I don't think Titans QSS is that bad because sometimes you don't have Rage Blade, and like one helps you scale the other. Yeah, it's like not that bad.
Actually, it looks better in the stats, although the sample size is small.
Yeah, because like you get to scale, you're guaranteed to scale the Titans, right, quickly, because you're not getting CC'd. Whereas the Rage Blade is like you're really like you're really overloading into like late into the fight. But
Yeah, and then that's probably better for your item economy, and then you can still go USS Kraken.
I think Rage Blade is slightly better because you get to use a rod, and then the cloaks
Oh,
from
yeah.
the thing can go into Even Shroud. It's hard to have so many cloaks in this line.
Right.
But yeah, Even Shroud, Declaw, things like that on your Braum. Yeah. But you can still Yunara from here, right? For your Rage Blade Titans, you can just Yunara from Shadow Isles as well. So it's just something
Oh
to be
yeah,
open
I
to.
didn't really thought about that too.
Yeah, Rage Titan is flexible on both lines.
Okay. So then when you're playing default slayers, how do you kind of choose between all these variants? Are you just flexing
A
the
lot of
board
it is just
down?
what your spot is telling you to slam early. Like the stronger you are early, the more you just slam, right? The weaker you are early, the more you hold components, and then you start to decide based on like 3-1, like are you able to spike on 3-1? And if ideally like you are, or like get some strength because you don't want to be weak the whole game, especially with no Ishtal, and then you will just slam kind of whatever you have, right? on 3-1.
Mhm.
And if you have a rod bow, you kind of have to stun the rage blade. But then you just have to make sure you also have some path to front line, right? Like usually what you'll do there is you'll delay, right? Like you lost all 5 rounds. On 3-1, you're like, shit, I have to make the rage blade variant. I'm like, okay, I hope I get the front line. You don't slam. You wait for 3-2 augment, and then you decide based on 3-2 augment, right? And if your 3-2 augment is still not committal, and you're still weak, then you pray you hit Ishtal and you roll at that point, right? Like it's kind of hard to unless like you're okay with 3-5ing it, which is also fine. But and then when 3-5 comes along, like you truly have to slam your items, right? And that's when you're committing to your variant.
Right.
I will say, I think the more you have to 3-5 it, the more you are not playing the Rage Blade variant because 3-5 is a GP centric stabilization. You're not going to Belveth reliably, and the more GP centric you are, the more you're like Eon Starax kind of items, DB.
Yeah. So then you'd go to probably just this one.
Yeah.
And
There have
this
been spots actually when playing this line that it's felt correct. It's very rare, but it's when you're low in HP and your items are like all like GP items that you roll in 7. So like for what like it's when I'm from behind and I don't have that much gold. Just make sure like you're aware it's not always wrong to roll in 7. If your items are like truly not Belveth items, then there's no real reason to play towards Belveth, like as primary. Right. Like let's say you're like 5 GP, 0 Belveth, 30 HP, 4-1, 50 gold. I'm pretty sure there you just finish the GP 3. And then you go for Belveth duo later. And you're gonna be weak later on because the GP main is like kind of whatever. But you just pray you get to good Belveth items later.
I mean, this line, given how flexible and how many like this line seems like the epitome of what Broseph was talking about, like infinite decision points throughout the game.
Oh, I see. Yeah. I think if a line is with many options, I guess, and then many alternatives, if you don't hit the main thing, I guess if that's what he meant, then I kind of agree. I guess, yeah.
Yeah, like if you play this line well, it seems like you
It's
should
hard to have bad
hopefully
placement.
bot two, yeah. Like
Yeah,
low bot
I
two,
would just
low
say the
bot
main
three,
thing with
right?
this line is you need a. Oh yeah, the main thing in this line. What would you view as like if you had to pick 3 items that you must have in this line, or 2 items that you must have? What would you pick?
2 items. One would be
Let's say
QSS.
you're playing the not Rage Blade Titans line. What are your 2 items that you truly must have by stage 4?
One for sure is QSS. By stage 4. Hmm,
I would say there are 2 must-haves. I think USS is correct. That's one
probably
of them.
shred.
Okay, good. I think your understanding is good. Good. That's exactly what I would say. I would say Kraken is like a close second, but it's not. I think it's Sunder for sure.
Like because this is kind of like a burst comp, right? So you want QSS to make
Yeah,
sure your guy has uptime, and then
and
you,
then
you need
Sunder.
to like
Yeah,
burst through any
you
super
literally can't play the
tanks.
game without
Yeah.
without Sunder. Yeah. That being said, I don't think I would ever take the Sunder. I mean, maybe you could the Sunder augment, the silver one. Maybe you could. You put your Belveth in the back, but it seems kind of odd to do that.
I did see a couple people do that in cup.
In what?
Rosip did that in
In
the
cup
in cup, yeah.
and put Belveth in the corner.
I guess he didn't do that with the shred one. He did that with the anti heal one.
Anti-heal. I can also give you stats, I guess. Maybe it's fine. I'm
And
not
it's
sure.
just like you could use a lot of items, right? You could like duo carry, tank, GP, like so that alone gives you stats and item, or removes the need for an item.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, I need to practice this line more. I've not played this line.
Yeah, I think this line's very good. There's so many ways to play it. You have Ishtal, you have Bilge, Econ, you have good units early, mid game.
Yeah, seems like such a high skill line to take. Like
The
high
thing is,
skill
it's also you can
especially.
also just play it blindly, just like play the normal variant, and I think it's still good if you just play it like normally. So it's kind of hard to fuck up this line. I think people are just bored, and that's why they're not playing it that much.
Yeah. I also think at lower elo, people just don't know about it.
Yeah. People don't know that it's really good for sure. Because like you try this line once with like IE, DB, Belveth, and it's ass. And they're like, ah, this line sucks. But you don't realize like you need setup.
Yeah. And I don't think out of all
I
the
think of it as
patches
like if
so
you
far,
recall
it's
like the
been featured.
broken if you recall like the broken duelist lines from previous sets, it's
Yeah.
basically that, right? It's like melees with like upfront damage, but you need setup, you need specific augments, but when you do, it's just so free.
Yeah. Oh, another thing on positioning is you really want the Ambessa and Belvet weak side, right? To get proc the
Yes. You really want the
yeah.
weak side. Oh, okay. There are a couple things on positioning and animation I'll say. One is okay, if you have so I think right side is generally better because the Belveth is safer generally. So I try to default right if possible. And then
Okay, you default right
right,
because
yeah.
of
The
the
Belveth is
targeting
more
bug?
the Belveth is more cubbied is more of the reason.
Oh, okay. But
Belveth is
then
more cubbied
your
and then
Ambessa's more exposed here though, right?
the Mbessa kind of does whatever she wants, I will say that.
Okay, because
So
she kind of
okay, so
jumps in anyway.
yeah, I think the best items for Mbessa are triple damage. I'll say that first. Triple damage. Eon is like probably the best defensive component, but I think Mbessa's
Like,
role is to just burst. I don't think if you could choose your items, obviously you just slam whatever you have because you're prioritizing Belveth and Sunder. But if you could choose, I would have zero healing Mbessa and all damage. And your Ambessa is just there to help you kill the tank, and then whatever she does after that is just bonus. You think of her as just like she's like an 8k nuke. You don't care about your sustained damage is all in Belveth, and Ambessa is just a nuke. And then GP is like more of just he's your third itemized unit, so you don't really care, it's just whatever. So Belveth Prio DPS, Swain Vow Sunder anti heal, Belveth nuke. Uh, Yeah, the moment you start to make like nice items on Mbessa that are like sustained, you just be depressed because she'll just jump in and then die. And then the other thing with positioning here is that this positioning can get randomly fucked by Swain going to corner units. So this position here, if they have a people also by default tend to default their right corner. Usually, if you recall, like people doing anti-sedge, everyone's kind of defaulting right their right corner, which is the opposite side, right? The yeah, there. Generally, people default this.
okay, so if we
I think a
kill
lot
this
more
off,
than
then Swain could end up here.
yeah. And so what I like to do here, if I know everyone is truly left side, is I swap Swain one left. This can get fucked if people like put their main tank on A1, but it's super unlikely. But yeah, if they swap main carry, you can get a little fucked. But if they don't, this avoids the risk of your Swain like going off into Narnia.
Okay. I've also seen people do like this, and this is supposed to attack here, right?
Uh is it? That looks a little scary to me.
Yeah, I've also noticed that I've had the targeting bug happen way more on this side than it happens on this side. I don't know if you've experienced that.
Oh, I've had it happen right side as well.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. The clip that I sent in was right side, and my GP was in the B row. It wasn't even an A, and it got targeted by an RE3 over a 3-star Nautilus. Yeah.
So are you playing around that at all? Or you just keep whatever? The targeting bug?
The thing is, Ambessa. So it is sad to lose your Ambessa, but the comp is so upfront and damage that you kind of can't like zero your okay. I will say against other melees, you like if you know your matchup is easy into the range units. What are you let's say there's a melee. What are you meant to do against melees?
Yeah, you want to make sure that you are attacking them first before they attack you.
Yeah, you go as back as far back, and against good players, you keep going further and further back. Like you start to do this. It's actually kind of funny, but you can run the risk of running left side. But like you do want to like go as far back as possible. And good players like everyone knows this. So like against better players, like
just move it at the last second, and then everyone's yeah.
Yeah, and they're also doing it. So like just try, and a lot of it literally swings the entire fight. So you just have to pray it works out for you. Eon definitely helps, but like you don't always have Eon.
Yeah.
Oh, the other thing you can, if you know you're stronger for sure than a melee guy, you just put him middle. You just go put everything middle. Like last second, you just go here, and then you don't have to worry about this BS, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't think about that. Okay.
Yeah.
What about against ASOL? You want just be opposite side ASOL?
Yeah, ideally your main tank same. So against ASOL, if you're truly 1v1, what I would do here is I would actually I would remove her. I've done this a lot. I would remove her the Swain. I'd remove her the Swain.
Uh-huh.
I would keep the Vow on the Swain, and then I would put my Nautilus same side, and then yeah, I would do that, and then I would try to do this, and then the Swain same side. This way, your Util is same side, and your Swain is same side as ASOL.
Like this?
Yeah.
All right.
I think that's basically all I have on the players at this point.
All right. That's a long Bible on Slayers.
Oh, wait, there's actually still more, which actually makes it kind of fun. In that you can play into this from vertical bilge. You can get vertical items on the Gangplank and then play into this line. I've done that once or twice, and it feels really good. It's probably like from if you didn't want to play into bilge vertical, and you have items for this line from like Rise Portal, you can farm a 5 or a 7 bilge item on GP and then go into this line, and then you're just playing this line with a free item. Cutlass is the best, but the balloon is good, right? If he's a vanquisher, he gives him AS, gives him crit. The balloon, like any free item in this comp, is really good, right? Because you have so many threats. If you look at the stats the balloon gives him, it's you don't have to look at the stats of like in terms of the yeah, it gives you 20 crit, 20 AS, which is pretty good on the vanquisher, right? If it's literally free, right?
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. So if like you have a 5 bilge opener, but like it's weak, and you want to play into Slayer based on your items and your spot in the tournament, don't. One, it gives you a bunch of serpents to like get the 3-star eventually, and two, like I mean, if your opener is like all 1-star bilge units, you find them all, and you don't have like good upgrades. There's no reason to not farm 5 bilge serpents, right? And then you can farm an item.
What item did you say you prefer?
Cutlass. I think Cutlass is the best
Oh.
one. The thing is, these stats are going to look horrible because these are people playing 7 builds, right? Which is horrible. But this one gives them damage, and the other ones could be good as well, like the execute. I would just take whatever, because you don't really want to be wasting a bunch of rolls, right? Because you want a lot of your rolls to go into GP3.
Right.
A lot of your serpents, I mean. So you would take this. You'd probably take the execute one. I don't think you'd take explosives. You could take a tank one if you're going for Nautilus 3 and you have 3 items. But like generally, I think these offensive ones would be good. If you're stuck on 5, you don't get to 7. I would still take like there's no reason to not get a free Captain's Brew. GP hits backline sometimes with his thing.
Yeah.
These are all just luxury things that are free, right? And so you would take them and play the line anyway. I guess it's not free technically. It comes at the cost of 50 whatever serpents, 60 serpents, but it's just more resources in this line. It's really, really good.
In what spot are you even? Oh, okay, never mind.
This is like exactly GP Nautilus Orb. Right? GP Nautilus Orb, you just play around these units. You're playing into Slayer, and then you happen to hit TF. You may as well
just use it for
get
econ.
5 bilge. Yeah, use it for econ. And well, not really, because you're actually using it to hit the upgrades, right? Use it to upgrade GP and Nautilus, and then you put these items on, and then you play Slayer anyway because you don't believe you can go to 9. If you can go to 9, you would just play 7 bilge into 5 costs. But if you believe you're stuck on 8, I think this is the best variant because now Fizz is super dead, right? And MF is kind of shit.
That does sound like an interesting line.
I kind of think it's most enabled by Rise Portal, but I mean, it's also enabled by GP Nautilus TF opener.
All right.
Yeah, I think that's basically all I have now. Until I think of the next thing.
Your entire Slayer playbook.
Until I think of the next thing.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for the coaching session. Then this is super helpful.
Yeah, good luck in the tournament. Let me know. I'll be following. Hope it goes well.
All right, talk to you later.
Catch you later. Peace.